Chapter 8:13, Breaking Through. Chapter 8:13, Breaking Through. In the battle against the world-extinguishing thunder flame that year, their battle had ended with both parties receiving injuries even though his heaven flames had joined hands. They had used a lot of Shi Yang's soul energy, but they couldn't subdue the world-extinguishing thunder flame. They could only expel it into the chaotic space basin. It has been years, and Shi Yang's expertise in space mysteries had progressed much. Also, his realm had reached the king-god realm with the god body and god soul. The heaven flames had advanced thanks to his achievement. Today, the 7 parts of the banished blue flame had been gathered. They combined with each other in Shi Yang's soul altar. The world-extinguishing thunder flame began its new life. Shi Yang was floating near a turbulent space crack. He squinted while using his soul to connect to the world-extinguishing thunder flame. His heaven flames surrounded the blue flame of the world-extinguishing thunder flame and released their energy waves with different auras to communicate with it. The world-extinguishing thunder flame had been hurt and detained in outer space for so many years. When it was able to gather within his soul again, its pugnacious nature burst out. He tried to subdue and melt the heaven flames in the soul altar to increase his power. Unfortunately, times have changed. His evil deed wasn't favored anymore. The strange energies of the 9 Serenities soul-devouring flame, the yin ghost flame, and the vermilion bird true flame flooded over, pressing the world-extinguishing thunder flame's refined lightning strikes down and confining it to the soul altar. The earth flame, ice-cold flame, and corpse-vanishing flame also released their energies. The extremely cold energy, flaming energy, and gloomy, freezing soul energy twisted and entangled each lightning strike. They had bound the world-extinguishing thunder flame tightly it couldn't wiggle. You don't have another choice. Stay obedient or you will be destroyed. Shi Yang sent his thought, his face cold and harsh. His sea of consciousness rippled slightly and an energy that could destroy any creature ran directly into the deep place in the world-extinguishing thunder flame's soul. The dead Upanishad was activated. The destructive energy lashed around the world-extinguishing thunder flame as the soul altar was spinning. At this moment, Shi Yang had a deep understanding of his powers Upanishad through his various fighting experiences. It wasn't difficult to deal with the world-extinguishing thunder flame. He didn't think that the world-extinguishing thunder flame could do anything malignant to him and the other heaven flames. He didn't even need to take action. The heaven flames were enough to finish off the world-extinguishing thunder flame, holding it from running away. Haha, I'm interested in absorbing you. Do you want me to try it? The yin ghost flame was excitedly brutal. He continually threatened the blue flame. It looked like he just needed a nod from Shi Yang to attack. Although the world-extinguishing thunder flame was a level 5 heaven flame, after this exile, its energy had been consumed a lot. If he dared to fight the yin ghost flame recklessly, the world-extinguishing thunder flame still wouldn't dodge his fate of being absorbed. Soon, the world-extinguishing thunder flame recognized its terrible situation. Under Shi Yang's threat and other stirred-up heaven flames, the world-extinguishing thunder flame eventually gave up. It obediently connected its soul seal to the heaven flame tier of the soul altar, turning into a blue flame, which changed the heaven flame's tier one more time. Shi Yang squinted and felt them for a while. Until he saw that the world-extinguishing thunder flame had settled down, he did not withdraw his soul consciousness. Afterward, he released his soul consciousness, making his god soul clear and calm to feel and study the mysterious movement of the surrounding space. Feng Rao didn't disturb him. She had busied herself with her pellets and divine crystals to restore her power. During this time of taking in supplement energy, she almost fully restored her previously consumed powers. At the same time, her realm was strengthened a little bit further. Just like Shi Yang, she started to comprehend her power Upanishad to further understand its mysteries. Even though the soul-sucking demonic flower had taken energy from Qi from Bao Ao, Jie Ji, and Bo Ruo periodically, with the vitality they got from Shi Yang, they were still fine. Their life magnetic field was stable. During this short period, they wouldn't die from lack of vitality. This group of people cultivated ascetically and quietly in the center of the foreign Milky Way. They didn't notice the changes in the world out there. The abandoned mineral star was shattered. Massive caverns pierced through it from one side to the other side. The fight between the bloody Chief Skull pirates and the 9-Star Chamber of Commerce had occurred over 3 months ago. Fragments of battleships scattered around the mineral star with broken war chariots and human limbs. With just a single glance, one would witness a fierce battle. A massive blue topaz battleship emerged from the dark, landing on the mineral star. A lanky but handsome silhouette flashed, flying one round above the mineral star, releasing his soul consciousness to cover all corners of this planet. At the same time, 2 more silhouettes flew out from the battleship, searching among the shattered corpses for something. Not long after that, the first silhouette came back to the battleship, frowning. "Sir Carthew, did you find something?" A charming figure emerged from the cabin of the ship. She was wearing a dress decorated with pieces of twinkling crystals. Her beauty was utterly unparalleled. It was Princess Ziyao. Aojera appeared next to her. He stooped slightly, gladly following her like he was her most humble servant. "Sir, we found nothing," Yalan returned, bowing to greet Carthew, then said, "There's one area with clear signs of space power movement." Carthew's eyes brightened. He dashed away immediately in the direction Yalan had just pointed. He appeared at the place where Shiyang had triggered the empty fantasy crystal. Carthew extended his slender left hand into the air. He frowned, but he was amazed. Ziyao silently appeared next to him. Strange light rippled from her beautiful eyes. She stared at that area, lowered her voice and repeated, "Sir Carthew, did you find something?" "It is the vestige of space power. It also borrowed energy from the empty fantasy crystal." Carthew nodded, turning around to face her. Seeing that Aojera didn't come here, he lowered his voice, "But I'm not sure if it was that boy. Not many people know how to use space power. Within the past 100 years, there is no such person." Ziyao's eyes sparkled as she balls her fists. "It must be him." Carthew just smiled, not voicing his opinions. "That is a possibility. How was that fight?" Ziyao's mood was in a good mood, smiling deliberately. "Sir Carthew, you are familiar with the land of God punishment and you have some men in the pirates' organizations. You should know about that fight, right? Fan Yi was defeated in the battle against Russell. He got hurt and ran away. His crew was damaged badly. The materials they were transporting from the Underworld League were all robbed. However, one giant chunk of empty fantasy crystal went missing. From my intelligence, the one using space power took it," Carthew explained. "Your Highness, he is just one member of your escort. Is he worth changing your journey's schedule to check out whether he's alive or not?" Carthew was escorting Princess Ziyao to the 9-Star Chamber of Commerce. As they had gone halfway, Carthew got the news that a fierce battle occurred here and that someone had used space power. When he told her this information, Ziyao was shaken. She didn't explain anything but wanted to change her plans to check this place. Carthew couldn't persuade her. He followed her suspiciously. "He saved me," replied Ziyao seriously. "It is that simple." Carthew smiled. "As far as I've concerned, he was not the only person to have saved you, right? Many of your troopers have saved you in critical moments. Why did you not care about them?" Ziyao gritted her teeth, rolling her eyes at him. She let out a light snort and gave no answer. Carthew laughed, but he didn't ask further. "Your Highness, don't worry. I've sent people to gather information. Yes, they will try to blend in and ask bloody Chief Skull pirates about his presence by using a drawing of him. If it were him, we will soon find a result." Ziyao's beautiful eyes shone radiantly. She slightly bent her soft waist. "Thank you, Uncle Carthew. Haha, you've called me Sir Carthew, but in just one moment, I became your uncle." "You're a manipulative little girl," Carthew smiled, shaking his head. Foreign Milky Way. Countless space slits packed the area. Chaotic space energy flew out from each space slit with glorious 5-colored lights. Shiyang moved between the space cracks, flashing on and off. Flows of soul consciousness flew like snakes inside the layers of space. A fierce soul energy wave was generated from his location. Then, space energy became clearly visible in countless space slits. They lashed around Shiyang like tens of thousands of invisible ropes. Feng Rao shot up from her recovery process. Light shot out from her eyes as she gazed at the space slits over the Milky Way. She gawked. Astonishment filled her exquisite face. Bao Ao, Jeji, and Bo Ruo, tied by the soul-sucking demonic flower, also had their eyes brightened. They lifted their heads looking at the space slits. Shi Yang's god body was bound by space energy. His soul altar had flown out of his god body, shaking as if it had been whipped. Space energy was dense in the soul altar tier of Power's Upanishad. Looking at his soul altar, they saw the fine and thick space slits where space energy waves rippled fiercely. Shi Yang's god body looked calm and peaceful with its eyes closed. It seemed like he didn't realize what was happening around him. He stayed still. However, the god soul, which was a replica of himself, was on top of the soul altar and had its eyes open. Fine cracks were visible in his eyes, which was the sign of space power. Space restraining power overflowed from his god soul, covering lots of space. It seemed to freeze the surrounding space slits. Boom! The soul altar suddenly shook. The Power Upanishad tier flew out, swaying like a shuttle through the space slits to absorb the energy in there. Countless lights gathered at the Power Upanishad tier. Shi Yang's god soul bobbed, floating above the Power Upanishad tier as if he condensed the generated space energy and fused it with his soul consciousness. Soon after, Shi Yang's god soul stopped shaking. It shrank and left the Power Upanishad tier. It returned to the top tier, and the soul altar flew back to his god body. Space movement slowly calmed down. Feng Rao gazed at him for a long time. Her succulent red lips parted as she whispered, "Breakthrough. It is now the second sky of King God Realm, but he made the transition smooth enough." Bao Ao, Jeji, and Bo Ruo had their eyes brightened. They were extremely excited. Chapter 8:14, Outstanding Heroes Uproar. Chapter 8:14, Outstanding Heroes Uproar. The southwestern region of the land of God Punishment was a dim-lit area with a lot of mineral stars. A battleship made of the skeletons of the evil dragon was anchored close to a mineral star. A thin and small old man, whose face was covered in cyan tattoos, was standing on the skull of the evil dragon. His hands were hiding in his sleeves. He was looking in the general direction of the land of God Punishment. His eyes were so deep. His eyebrows slammed together as if he was missing something. 1 hour later, a young ghost Mark clan man appeared behind him, calling him father. Feng Ku turned around to look at his second son Feng Xiao. Feng Ku lowered his voice and said, "Still got nothing about your sister?" Feng Xiao shook his head, "No. She's certainly not near the land of God Punishment. Otherwise, she would have contacted us. Could something unexpected have had happened?" Feng Ku mumbled then sighed. "It has been more than 200 years. For the star map, she asked to take the mission to go to the Purgatory Star. It has been a really long time. As we finally received some news, I don't think something bad would have happened to her. My sister is smart. She will be all right. Father, don't worry. I've sent our people to different bases. As soon as my sister's whereabouts are identified, we'll be informed immediately." Feng Xiao bent his head, feeling a little emotional. "My sister was passionate and gracious that year. She wanted to replace me and take that mission. I've been sorry for so many years. When she gets home this time, I'll make it up for her. Sigh, it's been more than 200 years. Your big brother died in that battle. I have only you two now." Feng Ku looked at the area, his visage heavy and glum. "For the star map, we paid a lot. I wonder if it was worth it." It was absolutely worth it. Feng Xiao's face was resolute as he clenched his fists, breathing heavily. "The three forces always suppressed us, the pirates. When they have free time, they come to sweep us away. They have killed a lot of us for so many years. Banished people like us have only this place to shelter in. They don't want to let us go. As soon as we get the star map, we can change this situation." "I hope so." Feng Ku's eyes were gloomy. A rumor spread out from the dark firmament divine nation that the star map will appear near the land of God Punishment. In time, our area will not be peaceful anymore. I heard that all the three forces will send their best warriors. A big war will rise in the land of God Punishment. Damn it! Feng Xiao shouted indignantly. How did they know? We are not the only ones keeping an eye on the star map. If they knew how important the star map is, everyone would drool and greedily seek the map. Fengku sighed. Help me deliver the news. I want to meet up with the leaders and discuss. As an alone force, even if we got the star map, we wouldn't be able to open it. We need to unite everybody. Father, once the other leaders know about it, they won't let us keep the star map. You have to think carefully. Feng Xiao seemed to not agree with this opinion. He tried to give his father advice. Feng Ku waved his hand. If the information was private, I would never share it with them. But because of the rumors, the three forces will come here soon. The other leaders will know then. Anyway, no one can confirm whether your sister successfully took the star map or not. If we act stubborn, we won't be able to stand firm in the land of God punishment. We won't be able to defend against the three mighty forces. Listening to his father reason, Feng Xiao nodded. Yes, father. I will deliver the news. Okay. A massive bronze battleship slowly flew towards the land of God punishment. Bai Tian, the great commander of the Underworld League, clasped his hands behind his back and stood upright on the front deck, his face calm. Bai Ru and some warriors were standing next to him. They all looked forward as if they were musing about something. Father, will the star map appear in the land of God punishment? Asked Bai Ru softly. Bai Tian wore hem garments. He didn't wear armor, but his aura was still archaic and faint. He smiled inaudibly. It should. The one we've sent away is confirmed dead. Seems like a little girl of the land of God punishment is the only one alive. She should have the star map. Father, if we can get the star map, we can detach from the Underworld League and be independent, right? Bai Tian was one of the three general commanders of the Underworld League. Not only did he have a strong force with many talented warriors, he also had several life stars. However, he wasn't the hegemon of the Underworld League. He had been under someone's commands for many years. He never had a chance to step to the front. The star map was able to change all of this. Even if it couldn't make him the hegemon of the Underworld League, it was still able to grant him unimaginable benefits. His soldiers would become the strongest force in the Underworld League. When that happened, he would even be able to detach from the Underworld League and become the sole valiant overlord of a whole new region. Haha. If the star map is as amazing as what the rumor says, if we get it this time, we can change everything. We will be the strongest force in the raging flame star area. Our family will become the mightiest family in the entire star area. Bai Ru laughed cheerily. Her small and exquisite face expressed her good hopes. Foreign Milky Way. Shi Yang sat neatly on a big, moving rock. After about half a month, he opened his eyes. Feng Rao's bright eyes looked at him. Seeing him getting up, her beautiful eyes brightened. You've broken through? Shi Yang nodded and said while smiling, it was smooth. The soul altar was refined one more time. Now, I've reached the second sky of King God Realm. Even when I get my full power at the peak of King God Realm, it is possible that I won't be able to do anything to harm you. Feng Rao shook her head bitterly. You're truly from a different race. I admit that I've underestimated you. This kid is an anomaly in our Grace mainland, Bo Ruo mumbled, continuing to admire him. Bao Ao and Jie Ji exchanged smiles, giving each other looks of envy. Wait until you guys recover. You will also break through fast. I know of your potential, Shi Yang comforted Bao Ao's group. If you guys can reach the peak realm in a poor place like the Grace mainland, your abilities and innate endowment are clearly amazing. I hope I can get rid of this damn demonic flower. Those mother-f*** curs, I hate that I can't go to the 9-star Chamber of Commerce and kill them all. Damn. Jie Ji bared his teeth, his eyes flaring. You will find the chance, Shi Yang smiled, turning to Feng Rao. If we go now, how long will it take to reach the land of God punishment? If you have good fortune, it will take around half a year. Yeah, not too late. Shi Yang grabbed something in the air and the massive empty fantasy crystal was pulled into the void, falling into a space slit near him. The empty fantasy crystal flashed and disappeared into the space slit. What did you do? Feng Rao was surprised. What just happened? Bao Ao was astounded. To make the space passage, it requires lots of energy. I still need a bit more, Shi Yang frowned and explained. Wait until I've reached the third sky of King God realm. Then, I will be able to do that. Right now, I can't. The empty fantasy crystal can't be put in the fantasy sky ring. Carrying it with us is inconvenient. I put it in the space slit here because I have to return to this place to open the space passage anyway. I need to train in this area anyway due to the special conditions. Bao Ao's group cheered up. Wow. You can do all this. Jie Ji yearningly admired him. They left the Grace Mainland to find a survival gate for their clansmen in the Grace Mainland. They had been struggling in the raging Flamestar area and had suffered from severe situations for 10 years. The hope in their hearts was fading little by little. It almost disappeared. Today, Shi Yang told them that their wish could be fulfilled. Moreover, with a gateway, they didn't need to travel tens of thousands of miles to return to the Grace Mainland. Naturally, they were in good spirits. It is true that when I break through the third sky of King God realm, I will be able to naturally open the space gateway. Shi Yang nodded affirmatively. When that happens, we can go home directly and bring all of them here. Bao Ao's group was so happy they almost cracked. They felt the burdens of their sorrow that had tortured them for 10 years finally lift up from their shoulders. Let's move. We will leave this place and go to the land of God punishment. Shi Yang smiled. Seeing them excited, he was also stirred up. He talked to Feng Rao. Did you communicate with your father? Feng Rao was baffled. She reacted reluctantly. I lied to you that time. I can't contact my father from such a far distance. My realm isn't enough to do that. Shi Yang was surprised. It's all right. When we've reached the land of God punishment, I can contact my father. Everything will be all right then. Feng Rao laughed happily. As long as we have the star map, anything is possible. Don't worry. You won't trap me, will you? Shi Yang looked at her seriously. When we arrive in the land of God punishment, there is a chance that many warriors will detain me and take my star map. And you will kill me and leave with the star map nonchalantly. Feng Rao parted her lips, chuckling. She nodded seriously. Oh yeah, it's a good idea. I didn't think about it before. But it seems like I should follow this plan now. Shi Yang's bold brows twitched. He pondered about Feng Rao, laughing evilly. One day, we may be husband and wife. If you treat me this way, don't blame me for disgracing your reputation and integrity. Well, I don't care about reputation and integrity. Among the pirates in the land of God punishment, I'm infamous. Should I be afraid of the ink you want to splash on me? Feng Rao seemed to recall something and she burst out of laughter. Everyone knows that I like to party every night. I can't be happy without men. But that time. I remember that you bled, didn't you? Shi Yang put on a frightened countenance. It was my period. It came just on time. What did you think it was? Feng Rao snorted before gritting her teeth. Shi Yang's mouth twitched. He smiled but his eyes didn't express happiness. So you don't mind at all? Shi Yang wasn't a fool. He had a lot of experience in that field. As an experienced man, how could he not know whether she was a virgin or not? Bao Ao's group looked at them with bizarre looks. They hesitated for a while before jumping away like 3 Jiangxia as they were bound by the demonic flowers. They couldn't move conveniently. I don't mind. It's not a big deal, Feng Rao grimaced. She was infuriated. Are you done yet? Don't you feel ashamed? Ha ha ha. Shi Yang cracked out laughing. He even held his tummy, crouching. Okay. I won't talk about it anymore. Suddenly, he appeared eccentrically in front of Feng Ra. He pulled her into his embrace and kissed her vehemently. Feng Rao struggled furiously. Her small fists pounded on his chest. She didn't use her energy so she couldn't actually hurt Shi Yang. Gradually, Feng Rao stopped kicking and pounding. She hugged him and kissed him back wildly. After a while, they detached. Shi Yang lowered his head to look deeply into her eyes. He told her seriously, "Be with me, will you? I have to think about it more carefully." Feng Rao wiped Shi Yang's saliva on her succulent red lips. Her exquisite face blushed while light sparkled in her eyes. She pretended to be calm. I haven't forgiven you yet. Don't think you can win my heart that way. You should try harder. As soon as she finished, she didn't dare look into Shi Yang's hot eyes anymore. She flew out all of a sudden to one end of the Milky Way. Chapter 8:15, An Agreement. Chapter 8:15, An Agreement. 4 months later, 5 individuals landed on a black dwarf. This dead star didn't have even a single beam of earth and heaven energy. There were no life energy fluctuations or any evidence of valuable ores. Thick smoke fumed around the star, which came from the direction of the endless Milky Way. They didn't know where the smoke originated from. The 5 who landed on the black dwarf were Shi Yang, Feng Rao, Bao Ao, Jieji, and Bo Ruo. After 4 months of flying, they finally got to this area. This place was one of the peculiar areas around the land of God punishment that was able to cut off the sensing soul consciousness. No exploring energy could reach this area. There was no creature or hovering energy, only thick grey-brown smoke. No one knew what caused it. Those clusters of smoke looked like cotton fabric sheets that covered the star. To get to the land of God punishment from here, it will only take 1 month. Because Feng Rao's power had been restored to the peak, she became more lively and cheered up. We should accelerate to reach the land of God punishment. Anyway, we must be careful and watch out for dangerous pirates. Space pirates ran amok around the land of God punishment. Thugs and villains from other areas in the raging Flamestar area who had no place to hide would also choose this place to shelter and make a living. There was not a single life star in this entire area. Surrounding them were abandoned mineral stars, black dwarfs, meteorite seas, chaotic energy storm, and perilous places that could cut off the soul consciousness sensing. The Dark Firmament Divine Nation, the Underworld League, and the 9-Star Chamber of Commerce would send their strongest to this area from time to rampage. However, they were never able to clean up the pirates. Thugs and villains from different areas would seek refuge in the perilous land nearby. The 3 big forces couldn't find a smooth way to barge in and search for them. Since they weren't familiar with the topography and hidden dangers, they would suffer huge losses. The pirates would seize that chance and counterattack. The most brutal characters of the raging Flamestar area often visited the places around this land. Once they found weaker preys, they would certainly show no mercy. The peripheral areas of the land of God punishment were also the bloodiest and most chaotic areas of the entire raging Flamestar area. Battles occurred at every second. People died frequently. The dead bodies of experts would float and bob up and down in the starry sea. The energy tornadoes would pull them in, creating a terrifying mountain of corpses. Feng Rao had grown up in the raging Flamestar area. She knew all these things. She also knew who often operated in this area, so she gave them advice. In this group of 5, only Feng Rao and Shi Yang had the strength and abilities to fight. Since Bao Ao and the other 2 were tied by demonic flowers, they couldn't help. They would just be a burden. If they fought, they would have to keep an eye on them. Otherwise, their souls would perish when merciless enemies would inevitably come to finish them. 1 month left. Okay, we're almost there, Shi Yang frowned, watching the surroundings. He scrutinized the eccentric foreign Milky Way. He needed to break through to the 3rd sky of King God Realm. With the empty fantasy crystal, he was 80% sure that he could create the divine passage that connected to the Grace mainland in packed space slits. Sooner or later, he had to get back here. He tried to remember this place so that he would be able to come back easily. Shi Yang memorized the special features and landmarks of this star area. His soul consciousness flickered, taking the star map out of his fantasy sky ring. He focused on the star map. Feng Rao's eyes brightened. She also glued her eyes to the star map in his hands. She discreetly assessed the thing. This star map was made from undying wood. Pieces of wood were connected to each other by unique spells and techniques, creating a complicated star chart. At first glance, it seemed to bob up and down magically. Shi Yang gazed at the star map, his sea of consciousness seething. Almost instantly, a vast and complex star chart appeared in his sea of consciousness. Starlight shone in a certain direction. Shi Yang's soul consciousness moved around the star map in his sea of consciousness. His soul energy was consumed fast. The star map was projected in his head, occupying a vast area. If he wanted to explore the mysteries of this star chart, he had to use his soul energy rapidly. He had to use soul energy to explore and find the marked location on this map. His soul consciousness drifted in the complex star map, exploring the ethereal starlight. After a while, he felt that his soul couldn't handle it anymore. This star map was presented in direct view and 3 dimensions. However, it was mysteriously complicated and continued to change. It seemed like a strange force was guiding Shi Yang's soul consciousness towards some direction. However, that location was too far away. If he wanted to explore it, he had to use a lot of his soul energy. After 1 hour, he felt dizzy, so he closed his eyes. The star map protected in his sea of consciousness vanished immediately. The memories of his recent exploring were erased. Shi Yang couldn't remember anything. With an astounded face, Shi Yang frowned and muttered, "So weird." "What? You couldn't locate it?" Feng Rao was so curious. She came close to him, her eyes wide open. She said, "Did you find something?" Shaking his head, Shi Yang had so many things that he couldn't explain. He explained, "This star map is very strange. It projects directly into your head. The star map is endlessly vast and it seems to move from time to time. I felt a magical force guiding my soul consciousness to a certain place. However, it required a massive amount of soul energy. The star map showed our location too. The direction it guided me to should be the target. However, my soul energy wasn't strong enough to reach the destination, and now I can't remember anything. It is truly a perfected treasure made by the Dark Firmament Divine Nation's Imperial Master. It is so unpredictably magical." Feng Rao was not surprised. She gave a faint smile. "This kind of star map can't be copied or memorized. We can gradually get to the target by holding it and spending soul energy to find the direction from its energy. Until we can get to that particular place, the map will not give another direction." "No wonder," Shi Yang nodded, "the star map is unique. Only holding it continually and moving forward could help us reach the star area. So if I hand over the star map, unless I go with the one holding the star map, I will never get to the new star area." "That is true," smiled Feng Rao. "Will your father give up one life star?" Shi Yang pondered for a while, then probed. "Why not?" Feng Rao's voice was natural. "If the new star area has more than 10 life stars, I think it will not be a big deal giving you one." "Do you think so?" Shi Yang frowned. After a while, he continued, "I trust you, but I can't really trust your father. I'm afraid that once I give him the star map, I will receive nothing but death." Feng Rao discolored. Bao Ao, Jie, and Bo Ruo stood far from them. They didn't come closer. They just studied their faces from a distance. "You don't trust my father?" Feng Rao's eyebrows knitted. "If you want to save them, you have to ask my father. Even if you bring the star map to meet the alchemist yourself, I'm not sure if you will come back alive. Although my father doesn't have a good reputation, he is a man of his word. Once he makes a deal with you, he will never change his mind. And if you don't trust him, you can trust me. I won't hurt you. I believe you, but the star map is crucial. I want to ensure an exit for my own escape," said Shi Yang seriously. "What exit?" Feng Rao was surprised. "Wait until we come to the land of God punishment. You will bring Bao Ao's group to meet your father. When they recover, hand them to Bloody Slaughterer Ka Tuor's men. When I'm sure they are okay, I will give you the star map. Whether or not you end up allowing me to explore the new star area with you, as long as the 3 of them are okay, I can accept it, even if your father changes his mind and refuses to give me a life star," said Shi Yang. "You don't trust us, do you?" Feng Rao sighed weakly. Shi Yang looked at some point further in the far horizon, his eyes gloomy. "Since the day I've been in the raging flame star area, I have never met a good person. I had to constantly deal with conspiracies. It is not that I don't trust your father. It is because of my low realm and weak competence. I can't be a threat to your father. Will your father appreciate a second sky of King God Realm Warrior? He can easily take back his word and kill me. Who would I turn to for help?" Feng Ku was the strongest expert in the land of God punishment at the second sky of original God realm. He was a leader of the strongest force among the pirates. Would an overlord who had countless troopers at the King God realm consider an agreement made with a second sky of King God realm warrior? Moreover, this agreement includes a life star. Would he be that generous to give away such a precious treasure? Shi Yang was skeptical. Feng Rao knew he was a careful person. She frowned, thinking for a while before asking him, "How do you know Bloody Slaughterer Ka Tuor? Do you trust him?" "I've met him once. We share something in common. Compared to your father, I trust him more," explained Shi Yang. "Okay, I agree with your plan. First, I will ask my father to cure the other three. I will deliver them to Bloody Slaughterer Ka Tuor personally. However, don't mess with me. Otherwise, I will hate you for the rest of my life." Feng Rao gritted her teeth, looking at him deep in the eyes. "Trust me. Even if I fail it, I won't give you any trouble," Shi Yang smiled, comforting her. "Then we should go. Follow me. I know a route we can take to avoid those thugs. The land of God punishment has its orders. Once we get in, it won't be very dangerous." Feng Rao nodded, showing her agreement with his decision. "After we get to the land of God punishment, we will split up." "Oh right. If I want to contact you, what should I do?" Shi Yang nodded. He had made up his mind that when he arrived in the land of God punishment, he would contact Bloody Slaughterer Ka Tuor. This man had something in common with him. Compared to Feng Ku, Shi Yang thought that Ka Tuor was more reliable. "The Heaven Punishment City is the center of the land of God punishment. My father's messenger resides there. You can go and find Mott." Feng Rao contemplated for a while before continuing, "I will tell him your name. When you meet him, tell him your name. He will take you to me." "Okay." The five of them departed again, heading to the land of God punishment. Chapter 8:16, Heaven Punishment City. Chapter 8:16, Heaven Punishment City. The land of God punishment was a strange place. Warriors who couldn't find shelter in the raging Flamestar area, criminals who committed unspeakable crimes, thugs, thieves, villains, warriors who sought special items for their cultivation, and madmen all liked to visit the land of God punishment frequently. This place gathered the most brutal lunatics of the entire raging Flamestar area. It also contained dozens of space pirate gangs. The land of God punishment was the biggest market in the raging Flamestar area. Rare and precious materials were bountiful in this area. Materials that the pirates robbed from the other areas in the raging Flamestar area would be transported here to trade for things they needed, like massive divine crystals and cultivating materials. Whichever materials the three forces used, people could find them in the Heaven Punishment City. Materials that the three forces didn't have were also plentiful in this city. The current land of God punishment was in the most disorder. But it was also the most enticing area of the raging Flamestar area that was managed by the four great leaders of the space pirates. Feng Ku was one of the four leaders of the pirates. Among the four, he was also the strongest. Russell managed Blue Demon and Bloody Chief Skull. Barrett managed Black Curtain. Jianong controlled Blood Rain. These three and Feng Ku were the infamous four leaders of the land of God punishment. The biggest auction house of the Heaven Punishment City, Heaven Punishment Wonderful Items, was also managed by these four. The Heaven Punishment Wonderful Items was also the biggest auction house of the entire raging Flamestar area. Items put in this auction house all had unclear origins. Usually, they were what the pirates had robbed from the three great forces and other forces around the raging Flamestar area. And only Heaven Punishment Wonderful Items dared to auction such rare items. The land of God punishment was a massive abandoned mineral star, which was even larger than the Grace mainland. The Heaven Punishment City was the only city in the land of God punishment. It was much bigger than a normal country. Most places in the land of God punishment were used to make hangars for battleships and war chariots. Strong pirate forces had their own territories with preserved resting areas. The entire land of God punishment was divided into different-sized areas, each of which had an owner. Each owner was an expert who had experienced plenty of bloodshed and slaughter and was also recognized by everybody. Shi Yang stayed by the horizon of the land of God punishment to observe this land. He was amazed and his eyes brightened. At first glance, this giant mineral star had so many abysses where battleships and war chariots were moving to and fro. War chariots often crossed the horizon. Also, some warriors were moving in the sky without the use of any vehicle like Shi Yang. Those warriors came from different races. Some looked indifferent while others looked brutal and malignant. Some of them grinned and watched others like they were watching their prey. Just like a pack of savage animals, they would attack each other at random times. The land of God punishment is a lawless place. Outside the heaven punishment city, no one cares about your life. There is no negotiation. No time for arguments. Feng Rao seemed to be excited, pointing at the city and explaining, people who came to buy cultivating materials here were killed right after they got out of the city. See, those thugs wait around the heaven punishment city for weaker warriors to ambush. Can you see all of those corpses from different races on the cold ground down there? Shi Yang looked as she pointed. His face changed slightly then nodded. Waiting around the heaven punishment city were experts grinning and gazing at their prey. Once they found a target, they would attack immediately, showing no mercy. By the walls, they could see incomplete corpses or skeletons of beasts, which created a scene similar to Shura Hell. The heaven punishment city wasn't a safe place until my father, Russell, Barrett, and Genong made rules here. No battle is allowed in the heaven punishment city. After that moment, peace was brought there. Feng Rao explained in details. Anybody who dares to mess around in the heaven punishment city will be destroyed by the four forces. After so much bloodshed and deaths, we finally brought order. Fighting is banned in the city, which protects weaker warriors coming here to buy items. If weak warriors came to buy items in the heaven punishment wonderful items, will they ever be able to leave? Do they have to stay here forever? Shi Yang was surprised. Nah, not like that, Feng Rao smiled, they can spend a large sum to hire guards. My father's blue demon and Russell's bloody chief skull can protect and deliver them. Of course, they have to pay a heavy amount of divine crystal as their protection fee. In the heaven punishment city, besides the heaven punishment wonderful items, there are so many shops selling spiritual herbs and wonderful crystals. You can even find slaves, beautiful women, secret scriptures, war chariots, and even an entire battleship. Those shops belong to the pirates. They rob and then sell. Some shops are managed by the key personnel of the pirate organization. They sell items of unclear origins. Most of them are stolen goods that are only sold and bought publicly here. Shi Yang nodded. When he and Bloody Slaughterer Ka Tuor split up, he had given him a blue crystal as a trustful token. He told Shi Yang to go to the heaven punishment city and find Ka Fu. Shi Yang guessed that Ka Fu should be a shop owner in the heaven punishment city. Ka Tuor probably sold stolen goods to buy battleships and cultivating materials he needed, which would make his force stronger. The heaven punishment city has dozens of shops managed by pirates. Many leaders of the pirates have the third sky of King God Realm cultivation base around the land of God punishment. Bloody Slaughterer Ka Tuor isn't too well known. He's not considered a very dangerous character. Feng Rao smiled, if you want to find him, it's simple. He has a brother named Ka Fu. His shop is on the east side. Haha, people don't know that Ka Fu is his blood brother, but I know that. That man is too cunning. You should be careful. Don't let these brothers trick you. I have a method. Don't worry, Shi Yang beamed a faint smile. People needed nothing to enter the heaven punishment city. They didn't ask to see any token or identity card. All warriors, big or small, from any races could go to the city freely. Even if you are guilty of many crimes and the three forces are hunting you down with their most talented warriors behind your back, you can still enter the heaven punishment city. The ones with ruthless fame and savage deeds earned greater respect in the heaven punishment city. In the pirates' point of views, only the strong warriors with bloody deeds were the greatest individuals. Weak warriors wouldn't be favored in the heaven punishment city. No one would lay an eye on them. That was why Shi Yang's team met no obstacle entering the Heaven Punishment City. They then saw shops made of strange big rocks packed in the whole city. On the wide streets, warriors were drinking, relaxing, and having fun. There were also many manors with beautiful women who winked at people in revealing garments. Many warriors who passed by those manors were enticed by the beautiful eyes of those women. They didn't want to leave, so they roared and yelled, storming into those places. The pirates lived a life where they drank blood off the blade of their sabers. No one could predict when they would die. So whenever they visited the Heaven Punishment City, they would free themselves, drinking large quantities of alcohol and eating tons of meat. They would stay in a woman's bed for pleasure and forget about everything else. Those shops sold many different kinds of pellets, herbs, crystals, stone, strange metal and wood, divine weapons, maids, and servants. On every street, there were warriors shopping. Bao Ao, Jie, and Bo Ruo had their eyes brightened seeing the eccentric and prosperous situation of this area. However, they were still bound by the demonic flowers. The warriors passing by them didn't think this group was strange. They thought that Bao Ao and the other two were medicinal slaves Shi Yang and Feng Rao had captured. They also thought that Shi Yang and Feng Rao were waiting for the demonic flowers to grow and bear fruits so that they could sell the fruits in this Heaven Punishment City. People in the Heaven Punishment City had seen many things. They weren't surprised or scared by unusual scenes. They didn't bat an eye when looking at Shi Yang's group either. You guys, take care. I hope you will be alright when I see you again. Shi Yang suddenly stopped, looking at Bao Ao's team. I believe you guys will be alright. For the star map I have, Feng Ku won't trouble you. Don't worry. Bao Ao, Jie, and Bo Ruo nodded. They sighed inwardly but didn't talk more. If we're fast enough, they will recover after about 10 days to half a month. Feng Rao smiled. That original God Realm alchemist will visit the Heaven Punishment City and stay here for a while from time to time. When we arrived here, I found many people gathering at his place. I think he is in the city now. Don't worry. They will recover quickly and get back to their cultivation soon. That original God Realm alchemist had also come to the Heaven Punishment City to sell his special pellets and medicines. He also refined some other peculiar pellets for those who could buy at a high price. Many pellets were mysterious and malevolent. They were banned in other areas. However, everything was fine in this city. Rumors said that that alchemist was banished because of his studies regarding poisons. That was why he had to go to the land of God punishment to continue his cultivation. He needed so many strange and wonderful spiritual herbs as well as special catalysts. Those things needed a lot of money. He had to refine customized pellets to cover the costs. That's good then, Shi Yang felt good, smiling. I just need them to be safe and sound. Then, I will give you the star map. I won't trouble you. Okay, I'll take care of them for now. Go first. Feng Rao's bright eyes studied him for a while. Then, she used her energy to bring the three others towards a place of this city. Shi Yang stood in the middle of the street where people hurried back and forth. Looking at Feng Rao disappearing into the crowd, he chuckled and changed direction, heading towards Ka Fu's shop. Warriors weren't allowed to fly in the Heaven Punishment City. It was a strict rule. Since Shi Yang wasn't impatient or rushed, so he curiously looked at the shops along the streets as he casually walked. About 100 meters behind him stood a warrior with the tattoo of the bloody chief skull pirate. He was hugging a Sea Clan woman, caressing her ample milky breasts with his big hand. His wanton eyes raked around. All of a sudden, he was baffled. Light sparkled in his eyes as he let out a low shout, "Wow! This is unexpected. It's him." Chapter 8:17, Rising Winds, Scudding Clouds. Chapter 8:17, Rising Winds, Scudding Clouds. Sir, who is he? The beautiful Sea Clan woman was curious. Her eyes were watery and her smile was charming. The warrior wearing the bloody chief skull uniform pushed the woman who was stuck to his chest away, laughing evilly. "Move, bitch. Don't hinder me from earning a fortune." This man followed Shi Yang until he saw the young man walk into Ka Fu's shop. His eyes brightened. He left immediately. He turned around, walking into a hidden training room. He found a man who was very skinny and shouted at him, "Sarah, I have the information about that boy." "Which boy?" The old man squinted, asking deliberately. "You've shown me a portrait and told me to keep an eye out for that boy. He is the one that knows how to use space power. He stole our empty fantasy crystal and ran away." The warrior laughed strangely. "Pay me. I'll tell you where he is." Sarah's eyes brightened. He didn't hesitate to shout loudly. Then, a warrior came over, bringing him a fantasy sky ring. He gave the ring to the warrior and said, "T-Lai, check it out. Tell me if this is enough." The warrior named T-Lai laughed as his soul consciousness scanned through the fantasy sky ring. His eyes brightened up. "All right, enough. Not bad, not bad. That kid is in Ka-Fu's store. You go get him." T-Lai left immediately, not giving Sa-Fa time to ask for more information. Sa-Fa waited for him to disappear. He took out the sound stone right away. After the connection was established, he slightly bent his body, lowering his voice. "Sir Carthew, the one you requested for has finally come back." After T-Lai left, he turned around, walking towards the base of the Bloody Chief Skull Pirates. He shouted, "I want to see our boss." "What do you want to meet him for?" "I have business with him. Our boss is in the secret chamber. Go there yourself." "Great." T-Lai excitedly stormed to the secret chamber, knocking on the stone door. He then lowered his voice to call, "Boss, I have some important news to report. It is about the boy that uses space power." Squeak. The stone door opened wide. Russell, the leader of the pirates, was sitting cross-legged on a blue lotus. He squinted and asked, "Where is he?" "At Ka-Fu's shop. I just saw him." "I don't think he has left yet," answered T-Lai respectfully. "You've earned yourself merit. Go take 100 top-quality divine crystals. And get me a war chariot." Russell got up suddenly, his face excitedly. He laughed with content. T-Lai stooped, laughed, and turned around. A battleship was floating quietly in the southwest of the land of God Punishment. Carthew stood on the front deck, his hand caressing a sound stone. He looked shaken. He squinted, directly sending a flow of soul consciousness towards Z Yarrow's cultivating room. Z Yarrow flew out of her room to meet Carthew. She shouted, "Uncle Carthew, you received news of Shiyang?" "Yes. He is in the land of God Punishment. Today, he is visiting Ka-Fu's shop." Carthew smiled, "Since we've confirmed that he's still alive, I've arranged my people to keep an eye on him. Finally, we found him. Haha, we will go to the land of God Punishment. Perhaps we will meet him there soon." Z Yarrow's beautiful eyes sparkled smilingly. He has a tough life. 3 months ago, Carthew received intel that Shiyang was the one who had used space power in that battle. Not long after they received this news, they were also informed about the frightening change of the Purgatory Star from the Dark Firmament Divine Nation. The spirit hall built by the Imperial Masters of the previous generation had collapsed. Du Tianji knew a little bit about the star map. He said that perhaps someone had successfully retrieved the legendary map. When they confirmed the news, originally Carthew and Z Yarrow wanted to go to the 9-star Chamber of Commerce. Immediately, they changed their destination to the land of God Punishment. If nothing unexpected occurred, the star map is in Shiyang and a woman's hands. His Highness sent me the message saying that Leona and Aogu Duo are moving at their fastest speed to the land of God Punishment. It has been 2 months. I think they will reach the land of God Punishment soon, explained Carthew. That bastard is a disaster. He brings no peace to everywhere he goes. Z Yarrow gritted her teeth. She was both happy and angry. I hope he is all right. I don't know why the news about the star map has been widely spreading. We are not the only ones who went. The Underworld League and the 9-star Chamber of Commerce have gone there. Not long afterward, the land of God Punishment will hold a lot of people and it will be a complicated situation. Carthew rubbed his head as if he had a headache. It is not easy to get the star map. That kid is related to the star map, too. This situation is getting worse. Uncle Carthew, You're familiar with the land of God punishment. Can we go there directly now? Yarrow was a little worried. Of course we have to go there. Anyway, we can't use the battleship. We have to get there quietly and conceal our identity. Carthew had planned earlier. He explained, those who live in the land of God punishment are very hostile to us, especially me. I've been attacked and had to destroy them for so many years. We can't send battleships. It is too obvious. It will cause unnecessary trouble. Yeah, I will take Yalan and Taimu. You should bring only Aojea. We will use a war chariot. When we get to the land of God punishment, we must keep our identities hidden. Otherwise, we can't leave in peace. Fong Ka, Russell, Barrett, and Jenong are all at the original God realm. They aren't weaker than me. Fong Ka's realm is one level higher than mine. If I appear there rashly, they will get enraged. We can only try to stay hidden, Yarrow nodded. Wait until Leona comes. It will be all right. When she comes, the ones who should run away are the pirates. Carthew smiled. We'll go there and conceal our identities. The Heaven Punishment City has never checked anyone's identity anyway. All right, I will arrange a way to get there. We can ride a war chariot to get there, said Yarrow resolutely. Hey, if it's okay to not take Aojera with you, don't take him. He doesn't get along well with that boy. Once they meet, they may fight. Carthew hesitated for a while before reminding her in a friendly manner. It's difficult. While he is still alive, I can't shake him off. Don't worry, if he tries to fight Shiyang, I'll handle it. Then do as you please. If everything turns into a mess, don't blame me for not reminding you. Yes, I got it. Blue Demon's Base, Heaven Punishment City. As soon as Fong Rao, who was bringing Bao Ao, Jeji, and Bo Ruo appeared, the pirates in the base screamed continually as they were very surprised. Our young lady is back. She is back. Many pirates of the Blue Demon followed and bowed to greet her. They all looked very excited. Before Fong Rao had left that year, her fame had always been good among the pirates of the Blue Demon. Many people had received her favors. They all respected her very much. Her appearance had stirred up the warriors in the base. They came out of their cultivation rooms to welcome her home. Little sister, Feng Xiao appeared. He was so happy that he burst into crazy laughter. Finally, you're home. Father always worried about you. It is good you're home now. Where is my father? Is he here? Asked Feng Rao. Not in the Heaven Punishment City. He is in our other base in the land of God punishment. I will notify him. He will come quickly. Haha, when he learns that you're safe and sound, he will be so happy. He'll get here soon. Feng Xiao was so happy, studying his little sister. Little sister, you're much thinner. Where's my big brother? Feng Rao looked here and there, asking with astonishment. He's in charge of this base, is he not? The smile on Feng Xiao's face withered. His eyes became gloomy. He died on the battlefield. The 9-star Chamber of Commerce swept him and his men. He has been gone for 100 years. Feng Rao paled, water lingering in her eyes. She stood perplexedly, asking, why? Living in the land of God punishment, we're prepared to die on the battlefield. Who can be safe forever? Feng Xiao sounded very sad. After our big brother had gone, father collapsed for a long time. He missed you a lot. He hoped you would be all right. Now you're back. He can ease his mind a little bit. Sigh, it's just because we're not strong enough. We can only stare and suffer. We don't have the forces to invade their territory and take revenge. It's not gonna be like that forever. I came back with a possibility to overturn everything. Feng Rao gritted her teeth, talking indignantly. Feng Xiao's eyes brightened. Sister, rumor says that you have the star map. Is it true? The star map isn't in my hand. Anyway, it's not different from having it. I want to see father immediately to tell him the situation. All right, I'll notify him immediately. Feng Xiao took out the sound stone and sent the message. I'm coming right away. The happy sound of the overlord of the land of God punishment, Feng Ka, arose from the sound stone. Little Rao, wait for me. I'm coming to see you immediately. It was a spacious shop with colorful stones and crystals. Pellets and spiritual herbs were placed neatly in their containers. Sweet and fresh aromas came from them, permeating the shop. A forthright warrior who didn't have a right arm was lying leisurely on a soft couch. He was peering at people walking on the street. This was Bloody Slaughterer Ka Tuor. He owned a shop to sell goods that he stole. However, the shop was a little bit desolate recently. After Ka Tuor had failed the mission in the solar star exploding fragment field, his infamous reputation fell. He also went to his secluding cultivation. It's been a long time since he went out to rob a battleship. So during this period, the shop didn't have many good treasures to sell. It gradually became quiet. A strong figure appeared at the door. As soon as he got in, he let out a low shout, "Who's Ka Fu?" "It's me. Kid, what do you want to buy?" The amputee on the couch was startled. Next, he glided toward him passionately and smilingly. "I have everything you need here. I'm here to see Ka Tuor." Shi Yang intervened, not waiting for the man to finish his introduction. He flashed the blue crystal, then asked, "Did he assign you anything?" The amputated man was bewildered for a while. He woke up and observed the trustful token for a while. "Are you Shi Yang?" "Yes. My brother is here." Swoosh swoosh swoosh. The chaotic energy seethed shortly. A figure emerged from the silent ground behind the counter. It was Bloody Slaughterer Ka Tuor. "Finally, you have come." Ka Tuor was happy. "I'm waiting for you to give me the other part of the power Upanishad. I can enter the original God realm smoothly then." "Haha, my good brother. I've waited for you for a long time. Bro, didn't you come here because of the star map?" Feng Ka has invited the leaders of the other forces to negotiate and discuss this matter. Ka Fu felt that his brother was being ridiculous. "I don't care about any star or map. Feng Ka, Russell, Barrett, and Genome will be here. I don't think I have a chance to take a share of the profits," Bloody Slaughterer Ka Tuor snorted. "How can it be easy to steal the food in those old men's hands? So I came here to wait for my senior. Hey. When I reach the original God realm, I can have hope that the star will produce results. Otherwise, everything would have been in vain." "Not really," Shi Yang beamed a faint smile. "The star map is in my hand. You do have that chance." Brothers Ka Tuor and Ka Fu were baffled by what they just heard. They couldn't believe it. Chapter 818, A Battle of Wits. Chapter 818, A Battle of Wits. Brothers Ka Tuor and Ka Fu gawked. They were baffled. The atmosphere in the shop suddenly quieted down. "Why do you have it?" Ka Tuor was astounded. It took some time for him to find his voice. "Doesn't Feng Rao have it?" "It's a long story," Shi Yang beamed a faint smile. "This is not a good time to talk. Feng Rao knows that I'm here. I'm afraid that Feng Ku, her father, is on the move. We should leave first." The star map was a crucial matter. Most experts with a background force would try to steal it. They would even to risk their lives to take possession of it. It was unknown whether or not Feng Ku would come here personally to kill him. Either way, they had to find a safer place to talk. "Yes. That is a good plan," Ka Tuor said frankly. "We should leave the Heaven Punishment City. This city is managed by Feng Ku, Russell, Barrett, and Genome. If they want to kill someone, they have many ways to do so." Ka Fu also knew the situation wasn't good. He stopped lingering and said, "Ge, you guys go first. I will arrange the meeting place and follow you." When Ka Tuor was about to start leaving, a gleam of fright sparkled in his eyes. He shouted, "Someone is coming. Original God realm. So quick." Ka Fu was scared. "Is it Feng Ku? 80% or 90% chance that it's him. Damn it. It was too unreliable. I knew it." Shi Yang's face darkened. He hesitated for a while, then said through his gritted teeth, "He tricked me like this. I won't let him get what he wants." A power that could distort space burst out from his body. Space slits appeared thickly around him. Radiant 5-colored light shot out beautifully from the slits. The fantasy sky ring flashed. The star map created from Undying Wood flew out. Under his power, it shot out and disappeared into a space slit. A massive flow of energy gushed out from his body. A beam of soul consciousness had cut off the connection with the soul altar and attached to the Undying Wood, disappearing into the space slit. Hesitating for a while, Shi Yang slid the blood vein ring off his finger. As his thoughts flickered, he threw the blood vein ring into the space slit. Tearing a space slit and putting the items in there was an advantage that a warrior cultivating space power had. However, Shi Yang was still reluctant in using this ability. The power of the second sky of King God Realm wasn't enough to help him maintain the soul consciousness for long periods of time. Thus, it was difficult to keep the connection with the items he had put in the space slit for a long time. In the disorderly and chaotic space basin, space energy was wildly uncontrollable. Once the soul consciousness fell into the space basin, it would be weakened and vanish. This was especially true if a beam of his soul consciousness wanted to stick to the Undying Wood. This made him spend more energy to hold the connection. The world-extinguishing thunder flame wasn't a real entity. It was just a fragmented soul. Maintaining the soul consciousness connection with it was easier. Also, the energy required was 1,000 times less. Because of this reason, the remnants of the world-extinguishing thunder flame could be found easily after Shi Yang had expelled it. However, forming a connection between the soul consciousness and a real entity was difficult when putting it into a space slit. When he wanted to pull it out, he needed to use a force that was 100 times stronger. Swoosh! The Undying Wood and the blood vein ring disappeared together into the slit. The fine, thick slits vanished shortly after. Shi Yang's face gloomily darkened. He said quietly, "Whoever is coming, he is coming for the star map. There is no need to be tense. As long as I have the star map, they won't dare kill me." Ka Tuor and Ka Fu nodded quietly, pulling themselves together. Crack crack. The ground of the shop under their feet caved in. A block of rock turned into dust and scattered. A brawny man emerged from the ground, but he had no dust on his body. "Russell." Ka Tuor's face changed. He snorted, his voice husky. "Why are you here?" Russell, the leader of the bloody Chief Skull Pirate, grinned bizarrely. One of his hands pushed on the stone wall of the shop. Yellow soil dust started to gather on the wall. From Russell's palm, it expanded everywhere at a speed that naked eyes couldn't observe. That yellow soil dust covered the shop's walls thickly. Another yellow wall blocked the main door of the shop. No beam of light was allowed to creep in. Shortly after, the entire shop sank into darkness under Russell's power. However, 7 colored rocks and crystals on the shelves inside the shop were glowing with immense halos, so the shop wasn't too dark. After Russell was done using the yellow soil dust, he calmed down and waved his hands deliberately. A white jade chair fell behind him. He lazily sat down, smiling brightly. He looked at Shi Yang and his pose was casual as he talked to Shi Yang. "Give it to me." "Give what? What is it?" Shi Yang frowned, asking as if he didn't know anything. "Don't pretend to be a fool," Russell laughed evilly. "Hand over the star map. I will leave immediately. I won't trouble you guys anymore." "Russell, don't go so far." Ka Tuor shouted, "No battle is allowed in the Heaven Punishment City. You guys set this rule and now you want to violate it." "Rule?" Russell grinned fiendishly. "I make rules. I'm not bound by it. Don't babble. Ka Tuor, you know me. This place is restrained now. None of you can escape. Give me the star map and I will leave. We will pretend as if nothing has happened." Russell had the first sky of original God Realm, 1 level higher than Ka Tuor, the strongest one among Shi Yang's group. Once the battle started, Ka Tuor, Shi Yang, and Ka Fu wouldn't be able to escape alive. Shi Yang didn't dare take action and decided to try negotiating. "The star map isn't in my hand." Shi Yang knitted his eyebrows tightly together. His face was gloomy as he said faintly, "Feng Rao has it." As soon as she arrived in the Heaven Punishment City, she went to the Blue Demon. "If you want the star map, you should find her. I have nothing in my hands. If you don't believe me, you can check it." Crack. A fantasy sky ring on his finger cracked open. Items stored inside the ring appeared. They could see the original universe return cauldron, sky-breaking shuttle, thunder witch wood, 5 elements crystal marrow, and some treasures he had refined. All lined up in front of Shi Yang, spinning. When the fantasy sky ring exploded, things it stored would be exposed. Ka Tuor and Ka Fu looked at him with strange eyes. Russell was also amazed. He frowned, but his eyes didn't leave the treasures and strange cultivating materials, which were floating and revolving. No, not this. No. Russell's face darkened. His eyes flashed as he was using soul consciousness to explore those items. Then, he shouted, none of them. His target was the star map. The other things were not what he wanted. As he didn't see the star map there, Russell clenched his jaw, grimacing. I have only one fantasy sky ring. It is broken. All the materials are in front of you. You can check them as you please. Shi Yang was calm and natural. I don't have another storage. With your cultivation base, I believe you can see that I don't keep undying wood. His realm isn't high enough. Going with Feng Rao at the peak of King God realm, you think he would have had the chance to keep the star map? Ka Tuor was secretly relieved. He followed Shi Yang and said, of course Feng Rao keeps the star map. I heard that Sir Feng Ku isn't in the Heaven Punishment City now. Only Feng Xiao guards the Blue Demon's base. If you go fast enough, you can take the star map before Feng Ku gets back, sir. Russell's eyes sparkled. He seemed to buy it, grinning fiendishly. Ka Tuor suddenly discolored, trying to urge the chaotic energy in his body. He couldn't help but shout, Russell, if you think you can kill us to stop us from spreading the news, it won't be that easy. Sir Feng Ku must be on his way now. If you want to waste your time killing us, do it. But I'm afraid you will miss the chance to grab the star map. Russell snorted, raking his cold, brutal eyes around Shi Yang, Ka Tuor, and Ka Fu. Then, he said indifferently, you're lucky this time. Swoosh. The ground cracked into a passage. Russell turned into an earthy yellow smoke and disappeared into the passage. Layers of confining force covering the shop vanished, turning into earth yellow smoke that swarmed into that passage. Ka Fu hurled his body onto the soft couch, wiping away the cold sweat beading his forehead. There was still fear in his eyes. Before Russell left, he definitely intended to kill them all to stop them from telling his story. If Ka Tuor hadn't said anything, they wouldn't have been able to dodge this fatal fate. F***ck him. Ka Tuor gritted his teeth, his face ferocious. Wait until your grandfather reaches the original God realm, I will take all of it back. That bastard Russell wanted to kill us. We're lucky that my brother has stashed all the items into the space slit. Otherwise, none of us would have survived. We won't keep him deceived him for long. We should go and find a safer place first. Shi Yang could feel a shiver running down his spine. Now he felt like a lucky survivor after a fatal incident. Russell was at the first sky of original God realm. He only stood there, but he could have given Shi Yang an endless suppression. If this man wanted to kill them, even if Shi Yang joined hands with Ka Tuor and Ka Fu, they would have still likely been killed. If he hadn't been prepared and broken his fantasy sky ring to show that he didn't keep the star map, or if Ka Tuor hadn't covered them, Russell would have slaughtered them all in this shop. After that, he could reap all the rewards of the battle. Then, no one would have found them. Here, take a new fantasy sky ring. After you're done, we will leave immediately. Ka Fu slipped a ring off his finger, throwing it to Shi Yang. Shi Yang caught it and connected it with his soul consciousness. The floating items fell into the new ring. The new fantasy sky ring Ka Fu gave him was much larger than his original one. It had many double shelves to categorize his items. This ring looked magical and it was surely not cheap. Thank you, Shi Yang nodded, didn't like saying polite words. He turned to Ka Tuor, are you ready? Yep. Follow me. We should stay away from the furious wave first. We can talk later. Ka Tuor turned around and walked to the back of the shop. Shi Yang followed him right away. Chapter 8:19, Overestimated. Chapter 8:19, Overestimated. Russell moved unceasingly towards Blue Demon's base. He didn't know that the others had fooled him. He did think that the star map was in Shi Yang's hands. As he was afraid that Feng Ku would return earlier, he hadn't spent his efforts to kill Shi Yang's group of 3. The star map was much more important than Shi Yang's team in his eyes. However, while he was moving underground under the Blue Demon's base, he knew it was going to be bad. He got an instant rage. Feng Ku was there. He could feel the massive life magnetic field of Feng Ku on the big rock above his head. "Russell, why are you here?" Feng Ku's deep voice was sent to him from above his head. A flow of energy that could tear the earth shot directly to the ground. Russell knew that he couldn't hide his whereabouts anymore. He hesitated for a while, then laughed, emerging from the ground. Feng Ku, Feng Rao, and Feng Xiao were sitting in a spacious hall together with dozens of experts of the Blue Demon. Most of them were at the second sky or third sky of King God Realm. The power of this force was formidable, indeed. Feng Ku had traveled at his fastest speed to meet his daughter. Before he could have time to talk with his daughter, he found the special moving life magnetic field of Russell. He immediately reacted, using his force to make the man come out from the ground. Feng Ku's thin face darkened. He snorted, "What do you want? Why are you moving stealthily like that? I heard that my niece is back. I hurried here to say congratulations." "Feng Ge, you don't welcome me?" Russell put on a calm face, smiling until his eyes squinted. "I met my niece in that abandoned mineral star. I wanted to take her home safely, but a boy had captured her. He used the power of the empty fantasy crystal to run away. I couldn't help her, so I felt really annoyed. Now I know she's back safely. I wanted to pay a visit to see her." Russell's lies weren't much greater than his singing. This man was really thick-skinned. Both Feng Ku and Feng Rao knew that none of his words were true. They looked at him with cold looks. "It's good that my niece is all right. I just wanted to check on her. Yeah, now I can ease my mind." Since Russell recognized that no one welcomed him, he said something and prepared to leave. "Wait a minute," Feng Ku shouted. "What?" Russell was surprised. "Feng Ge, you want me to join your family's lunch? Haha, as you and your daughter have just reunited, you should have many things to say to each other, I assume. It is not convenient that I stay. If you're here, we can talk." Feng Ku squinted, frowning. "I've invited all the big leaders to talk about the star map. My daughter is back. We can discuss this." Your power isn't bad. You're one of the strongest forces that we have. Of course, we can just keep you out of this. Haha, Feng Ge. You're valiant and generous if you want to share the star map. All right, I'm in." Russell agreed. He came here for the star map. Of course, he wouldn't let this chance slip away. Any matter behind the star map is very important. "My force can't handle it alone," Feng Ku snorted. "Russell, your bloody chief skull isn't bad, but don't foolishly dream about keeping the star map for yourself. I got the precise news saying that strongest warriors of the 3 big forces are heading to the land of God punishment. They will come to our area shortly. The 9-star Chamber of Commerce will appear here, too. The Fan family will send someone, probably. Since we have common enemies, I hope you can see the general picture and not plan any conspiracy." Pausing for a while, Feng Ku continued slowly, "For example, going to Ka Fu's to rob the star map. I don't want to see that again." Russell discolored. He snorted but didn't say anything else. He jumped into the ground, leaving no message. He disappeared shortly. "Father, how did you know he went to Ka Fu's?" Feng Rao was surprised. She couldn't help but ask. "On my way to the Heaven Punishment City, I felt Russell moving. But you've mentioned that that boy was going to find Ka Fu." "Of course, I knew what he wanted," smiled Feng Ku. "Would something unexpected happen to Shi Yang?" "No, I have to go there and check." Feng Rao screamed hastily. Feng Ku and Feng Xiao were slightly shaken. They looked at her with odd faces. When Feng Rao left that year, she didn't have a good reputation in the land of God punishment. However, they knew Feng Rao was almost an uncontrollably wild girl. It has been so many years and they had seen her teasing countless young men of the land of God punishment, but they had never seen her caring about any man. Today, as she thought about Shi Yang possibly being in danger, she paid close attention and care for him. Something was strange here, indeed. You guys, why are you looking at me like that? Feng Rao was startled a little bit, blushing unnaturally, stopping. Feng Ku saw her eyes. He contemplated for a while then said, "Don't worry. That kid should be all right. Otherwise, Russell wouldn't have hurried here. If he got the star map, he would have immediately left the land of God punishment. Caring disturbs a sound mind." Feng Rao was reminded of this. She bit her red lips and smiled. He fooled Russell. "Ha. Little sister, tell me what kind of relationship is between you and that kid." Feng Xiao was surprised for a while. Eventually, he couldn't press down his curiosity. "I can see that you care about him. What happened? Who is he? Is he an insider sent by the Dark Firmament Divine Nation?" "No relationship. We have just overcome many hardships together. We are close friends. Also, that man isn't ordinary at all. His potential is infinite. As he cultivates, he will eventually become one of the strongest warriors of the Dark Firmament Divine Nation," said Feng Rao solemnly. "I haven't seen you highly appreciate a person like that. Is he really as excellent as you say?" asked Feng Ku with a serious visage. "I reckon." Feng Rao's face was also serious. "Although he has only the second sky of King God Realm cultivation base now, I believe that if he risks his life and fights me, I will not win. I will be the loser who will die. He will survive and live or sure." Hearing her, Feng Ku and Feng Xiao were shaken with fear. In the land of God punishment, Feng Rao was famous for her tough and tenacious competence with bizarre power Upanishad. Normally, warriors at the same realm weren't her rivals. And they were talking about Shi Yang, a warrior at a level lower than her. "Little sister, do you overestimate him because you like him?" Feng Xiao shook his head and burst out in laughter. "How can he do it? He defeated you with his lower realm? Funny, really funny. You shouldn't mistake it due to your personal feelings. Tell us honestly, how is his competence?" Feng Ku frowned as he didn't believe her. He was always proud of his daughter. He didn't think that a warrior with a lower realm could trounce Feng Rao. Both the father and the son were skeptical and thought that Feng Rao had overestimated Shi Yang because she liked him. This irritated Feng Rao, making her both embarrassed and angry. She said begrudgingly, "You will see later." "All right, I want to check him out," Feng Ku nodded. "How about the other three? Do they need treatment?" "Father, that old jester isn't a nice man to talk to. The price to cure 3 people with the soul-sucking demonic flower won't be small," Feng Xiao reminded them. He seemed not to approve this idea. "Little Rao, what do you say?" squinted Feng Ku. "Cure them. Even if the price is big, can it be bigger than the star map?" Feng Rao answered resolutely. "Can we trust him?" asked Feng Ku. "His men are in our hands. If he doesn't exchange the star map for them, what can he do then? Moreover, this place is the land of God punishment, our territory. Will he be able to rebel?" Feng Rao smiled. "Don't worry. I'm sure he will keep his word." "All right, we will carry it out like that." Feng Ku pondered for a while, nodded then turned to his son, Feng Xiao. "You bring those 3 to Jester. Satisfy his requirements. I'm on it." Land of God punishment, West Side. The land was damaged and countless massive caves ran straight to the deep place underground. Each cavern that looked like the giant mouth of the beast had a spacious stone hall. Those stone halls were connected to each other and expanded wide and large. People could walk through them to reach the inside of the Heaven Punishment City. Inside a stone hall, which was protected with magical barriers, Shi Yang was giving a narration of how he got the star map to Ka Fu and Ka Tuor. Also, he didn't conceal about the agreement he had with Feng Rao. The 2 brothers listened to him. After he was done, Ka Tuor frowned and said with pain, "They're just 3 human body cauldrons. Are their lives worth the star map? Shi Yang, you've placed the value of your relationships with them too highly. It is not worth it. You see, How about we flee from the land of God punishment and use our own powers to explore the new star area? Ka Tuor became excited. His brutal eyes sparkled with dreams of desire. He spread his arms and mumbled, a new star area, 10 life stars, countless mineral ores and crystals, peculiar spiritual herbs. If we can have them all, we don't need to worry about anything else for the rest of our lives. Brother, we can establish our own territory. One day, we would make that star area mighty and prosperous like the other 3 forces. How wonderful would that be? Don't be a daydreamer, Shi Yang snorted. With our force, we can't have all of them. The information of the star map has been spread out. Many experts are keeping an eye on it. Even Feng Ku admits that he can't do it alone. He's contacting the big leaders of the other forces. Do you think you can gulf it yourself? Dage, wake up. This boy is right. Even if we find the new star area, we can't protect it. Exploiting the new star area requires a giant workforce and resources. Your force is definitely too weak, Ka Fu advised his brother without showing a bit of his sympathy. I was just thinking about it a little. You guys don't need to be that serious, okay? Ka Tuor was a little bit embarrassed. He harumphed then said, I will send someone to the Heaven Punishment City. If Feng Ku asks, we will have someone to report back to us. I want to make sure my 3 friends are all right. After that, I will hand over the star map, Shi Yang nodded. The important thing is to make sure that my men are okay. We can deal with other matters later. Yeah, I got it. I won't mess with your business, Ka Tuor continued. I still have some fame in the land of God punishment. I know what to do. Shi Yang pondered for a while and then said, I'm going to prepare. After a while, I will give you the other part of the inheritance. It will help you break through to the original God realm fast. Bloody Slaughterer Ka Tuor's eyes brightened radiantly. He was so thrilled and surprised that he laughed non-stop. Chapter 820, The Ring Spirit's Instructions. Chapter 820, The Ring Spirit's Instructions. Shi Yang's left hand touched the void. A gloomy light sparkled from his fingertips. As his fingers moved, a space slit appeared like he was tearing a sheet of paper. Dazzling light shot out from the space slit. Shi Yang squinted. Fine cracks appeared in his eyes. The space around him distorted chaotically. His energy rolled torrentially in his veins, running directly to the left palm. It seeped through his finger, shooting to the space slit where lights were moving disorderly. His soul consciousness was visible like a beam of light, slowly searching in the slit, getting through several sandwich-like layers. The aura of the blood vein ring suddenly emerged in his god soul. His soul altar started to spin. Unpredictable, invisible light radiated from it. A pulling force connected to the blood vein ring as fast as lightning. Swoosh! A ring flew out and fell into his palm. Shi Yang slid it on his finger. Shi Yang didn't hurry to retrieve his energy. His soul consciousness was still searching for a connection with the star map in the chaotic space basin. However, when he tried to pull the star map out of that space, it felt as heavy as 10,000 cattle. His soul struggled to pull it out. It wasn't as easy as pulling the blood vein ring. Shi Yang paused, sensing quietly. He gradually pumped more of his soul energy, which then turned into invisible tentacles that entangled the star map. Pull. His soul energy was drained crazily. The space around him rippled like ocean waves rising beautifully. Each space wave had a space crack, which was then enlarged little by little. The chaotic flow of space inside was strangely turbulent, as if it wanted to gush out from there. Shi Yang paled. His energy was draining fast. Shi Yang felt exhausted, but he continued pulling and he didn't dare to relax or get distracted. Ka Tuor and his brother looked at him astoundingly. They shifted their looks from the space slits to Shi Yang and discreetly released their soul consciousness. However, their soul consciousness felt like it was sinking into a swamp when it touched this disorderly space. No matter how hard they tried, they couldn't help. The brothers discolored. They didn't dare explore for any longer. They both retrieved their soul consciousness, took several deep breaths to steady themselves and continued watching Shi Yang from afar. Sweat beaded on Shi Yang's forehead. The fine cracks were getting clearer too in his eyes. A beam of sharp space energy seeped out, running directly into the space slit. Roar! Shi Yang shouted. His body radiated blinding light. He looked like a massive crystal illuminated by the sun, reflecting beams of light everywhere. A violent suction force shot out from his palm. The star map emerged little by little from the space slit as he slowly pulled it out. Phew! Shi Yang opened his mouth to exhale. He wiped away the sweat on his forehead. Shi Yang's body slid to the ground. He was exhausted. Although Ka Tuor wanted to hurry, he felt something deep in his heart that told him to stay patient. Seeing that Shi Yang exhausted like that, he didn't urge the young man and instead just sat down next to him and waited. Taking out a divine crystal, Shi Yang absorbed the energy from it. After a long time, he opened his eyes slowly, smiling feebly. We're lucky that nothing unexpected happened. Pulling out a star map did cost a lot of energy, right? Ka Tuor was astounded. But you got the ring out pretty reasonably. I saw you spend no effort to pull the ring out. He wasn't the only one suspicious. Shi Yang also didn't know how it happened. He felt like he was walking in a mist, blind from his surroundings. Both the star map and the blood vein ring were objects. However, retrieving the blood vein ring costed only a little bit of his soul energy. As soon as his soul consciousness connected to the ring, it immediately returned from the space basin. But the star map had cost him a lot. You fool. It's the secret treasure that is connected to my brother's life. They're interlinked. That's why he can take it back easily. Ka Tuor thought he understood it better, rolling his eyes at his younger brother and explaining. Is it true? Ka Fu shook his head, not quite believing his brother. Don't talk, please. I need to be quiet for a while, frowned Shi Yang. The brothers shut their mouths immediately. As Shi Yang's finger caressed the blood vein ring, his soul consciousness seeped into it. Within the left part of that man's inheritance, is there any problem with it? A spirit arose from the ring. There are 3 things you need to remember. I can tell you this only once. After I give you the inheritance, I will go dormant. I won't have enough energy to talk again for a long time. First of all, after I give you the inheritance, you should use your God soul to read the spell that urges the magic in your seal and take a beam of his original soul. Then, detain a beam of his original soul in your seal. After that, he will become an advisor. You will be able to control his life. Second, the next time you swallow the soul altar, don't enjoy the benefits alone. Divide the refined soul energy into beams and send me some to recover. Then, I will have more energy to talk to you more. And you have to take in more soul altars. It will be good for you, much more effective than simply making your god body stronger. I think that no warrior in this star area will know your secret. You don't need to worry that much. You have to try to refine your soul altar more and make it unbreakable. Last of all, gather the heaven flames and combine them as fast as you can. Before you break through to the original God realm, you have to use the heaven flame divine refining technique to refine the heaven flames. It will give you a big help when condensing the original soul. The original soul created by the heaven flames is much more intimidating than the original soul of the other original God realm warriors. It has so many more magical abilities. Remember, you have to gather all the heaven flames before you reach the peak of the King God realm. After the ring spirit advised him about these 3 things, it was about to complete the inheritance. Who are you? I know nothing about you or anything you just said. Can you explain in more detail? I am just a remnant of a soul. Most of my memories have been lost. I can only restore them little by little from the nothingness. At this moment in time, I can't give you more assistance. Please at least tell me what is my mission here. Get stronger, unbelievably stronger, break through and level up as quick as you can. This is your most important mission at this moment. Alright, I can't waste more time. I will impart the spell to you. I have to condense the inheritance. My energy is limited. The ring spirit cut off communication. Soon, a flow of soul memories seeped into Shi Yang's brain. The spell was hard to read. It seemed like the spell didn't have any real meaning. It was just an array of magical sounds. Shi Yang tried to figure out what it said, but he couldn't understand the deep meaning behind those melodious sounds. He couldn't do anything except to try remembering the spell forcefully. At least, he must ensure that he wouldn't forget it or read it incorrectly. The blood vein ring on his finger radiated an immense halo as the ring spirit urged its energy to create the inheritance for Ka-Tuor. Ka-Tuor couldn't help but get more excited. He rubbed his hands, thrilled. He laughed contentedly and stupidly at the same time. When he received the inheritance from Shi Yang last time, he immediately ran away and cultivated to amend his power Upanishad. After a long time, his power Upanishad had got back on the right track. He was now at the third sky of King God realm and he was just one step away from the threshold. As long as he could get the last part of the power Upanishad inheritance, he believed that with a little time to digest it, he would easily enter the original God realm. When that happened, he would become an expert in the land of God punishment and he would become a hero who could stand shoulder by shoulder with Russell, Barrett, and Jianong. He could even make Russell pay for his mistakes. Only by having mighty power would he earn respect in the land of God punishment. He had been here for so many years, so Ka-Tuor understood this. Dage, I have to congratulate you this time. Ka-Fu was also excited. He laughed cheerfully. After this time, Dage, you will become an overlord of an area of the land of God punishment. I'm so thrilled. Haha. That crazy dog Russell. I will make him lose his face. Ka-Tuor grinned, his eyes brutal and bloodthirsty. Boom. Rainbow light shot out everywhere from the blood vein ring. A huge energy tremor spread out from the ring. A flow of inheritance essence was shown in Shi Yang's palm. It looked like a chaotic, hazy mist with extreme power at the core. Ka-Tuor's body shivered. He calmed down. His hot eyes gazed at the inheritance essence, didn't even blink. Shi Yang smiled. He used the vital energy of the dead and life power to tie the essence inheritance, pushing it towards Ka-Tuor. While the essence inheritance disappeared into Ka-Tuor's eyes, Ka-Tuor was shaking from the impact. Chaotic energy gushed out from his body. The God domain activated automatically, dragging and sucking the debris and remnants of objects into outer space to create a distorted and chaotic magnetic field. Ka-Tuor closed his eyes and sat down cross-legged. He held his breath and concentrated on learning the mysteries of the essence inheritance. He tried to fuse it with his God soul and make it become a part of his seal of Upanishad. At the same time, Shi Yang sat down and watched every change that Ka-Tuor went through. Ka-Tuor was shivering. Ripples of distorted and chaotic energy expanded from him as if he was taking in the energy from the space debris and other trash to increase the intensity within his god body. Ka-Tuor's soul altar appeared deep in his pupils. It shone gloriously as if it was made of crystal. It was a beautiful scene. Shi Yang observed everything. Until he saw Ka-Tuor's soul altar spun and the god soul started to take in the essence inheritance, he also mumbled the hard-to-read spell that the ring spirit had imparted to him. The spell swayed in his sea of consciousness like lightning strikes that attacked his sea of consciousness. His sea of consciousness seethed violently while thunder exploded above his soul altar. Flows of his soul consciousness moved by the spell, swarming towards the magical mark in his god soul. While his sea of consciousness seethed with surging, massive waves, his god soul maintained steady like a mountain. The mark emerged on his forehead like a dark sun that absorbed flows of his soul consciousness. Shi Yang continued to murmur the spell. A magical vibe connected to Ka-Tuor's soul altar. A beam of light shot from Shi Yang's eyes straight into Ka-Tuor's eyes. A beam of Ka-Tuor's chaotic original soul was pulled by the light beam. It flew out and flashed before disappearing into the mark on the forehead of Shi Yang's god soul. At that moment, the flow of Ka-Tuor's original soul became his puppet. It seemed like he could kill Ka-Tuor instantly with one thought. Shi Yang could even eradicate the other's god soul as he pleased. Shi Yang was scared of the cunning and wicked plan of the ring spirit. This trick to bind a servant was strangely cruel. Shi Yang knew that from now on, Ka-Tuor would never escape his bind. He now held the man's life in his hand forever. When his mind flickered, he could have Ka-Tuor perish. Chapter 821, Conspiracy. Chapter 821, Conspiracy. Ka-Tuor was still trying his best to combine the essence inheritance. He didn't notice that Shi Yang had taken control of his life. For the rest of his life, he would not be able to escape Shi Yang's bind. Shi Yang opened his eyes, smiling brightly while looking at Ka-Tuor. After a while, the energy waves on Ka-Tuor's body calmed down. He continued to steady his energy, putting back the soul altar into his body. Then, he opened his eyes. He was so happy that he almost went crazy. He couldn't press down his laughter. I am one step closer to entering the original God realm. When that happens, I can stand shoulder by shoulder with Russell, Barrett, and Genome to be the master of an area in the land of God punishment. Only warriors at the original God realm can control powerful forces in the pirates' organizations. They have more troops and more serious business deals. Because Bloody Slaughter Ka-Tuor had not reached the original God realm, he was far behind Russell and the other two despite the fact that he was famous. And of course, there was no need to mention Feng Ku. Anyway, once Ka-Tuor reaches the original God realm, he would have a share among the experts of the land of God punishment. Congratulations, Dage. Ka-Fu smiled honestly. He was thrilled and he thought about how bright the future will be. This pair of brothers had been struggling in the land of God punishment for many years to accumulate the power and strength they have today. However, when Russell came to the shop and released his power, they felt so small and insignificant that they couldn't muster the courage to use their powers to resist. At his original God realm, Russell had an intimidating, oppressing power. If he wanted to kill them, no one would have gotten out of that shop alive. If Ka-Tuor had had the original God realm cultivation base, Russell would never have dared to swagger in like that. He wouldn't have thought of killing them. All of this was because of the limit of their realms and cultivation bases. How do you feel? Is everything all right? Asked Shi Yang, a little bit uneasy. Shi Yang didn't know whether Ka-Tuor could sense his small trick or not. He was afraid that if Ka-Tuor knew it, he would trouble him hard. This is amazing. It's so wonderful. I feel so good. Ha ha ha. Ka-Tuor laughed crazily and he felt so good. He didn't notice that a flow of his original soul was stolen. He had no idea that he lost control of his own life. Ha ha. That is good. Now we just need to wait until we got the news from the Heaven Punishment City. We will proceed with our plan afterward. Shi Yang was nonchalant as he could relax now. He closed his eyes, his mouth hanging a faint smile. This place is the Heaven Punishment City, said Carthew. He was wearing a long snow-white garment accompanied with a piece of a silver mask that covered half of his left face. He smiled and explained, the Heaven Punishment City isn't strict. Everyone can get in. I've been here several times. As long as you conceal your power, no one would recognize you. The Heaven Punishment City is the biggest market of the entire Raging Flamestar area. You can find secret treasures, crystals, ores, pellets, medicines, and so much more. I will give you a tour. Zi Yarrow's graceful body with attractive curves had been reduced slightly as her charming face was covered in a skin tone mask. However, warriors traveling to and fro in the wide streets of the Heaven Punishment City showed their lustful faces as they saw her. Their hot eyes lingered on her stunning body. Her exquisite and graceful curves were enough to get the attention of these men. Her unusually sloppy appearance only hid her beauty a little bit. Yalan, Taimu, and Aojera were also disguised, and they walked behind Carthew and Zi Yarrow like an entourage. They were watching the shops everywhere with great curiosity. They found so many missing treasures of the Raging Flamestar area in the shops here. Also, they saw countless strange cultivating materials that the Divine Nation didn't have. They were exhibited and sold publicly here as if these items were nothing special. This is such a strange place. Zi Yarrow observed for a while before complimenting. No wonder why people tell each other to visit the Heaven Punishment City when they need cultivating materials. They would have a great harvest here. I didn't believe it. But now I understand. The items in the Heaven Punishment City have more variety and are more precious than the items in the 9-star Chamber of Commercial. Carthew smiled. It is obvious that the Heaven Punishment City is unique. Pirates from all corners of the star area gather here. I heard that many pirates have found bizarre and rare mineral stars on the edge of our star area. The 9-star Chamber of Commercial doesn't have this competence. We should get to our destination first. I wonder if his there. Yarrow's beautiful eyes were radiant when she parted her lips. Carthew nodded and said, "Follow me." After 1 hour, this group arrived in front of Ka Fu's shop. They stopped by the door and looked in the shop. No one was inside. The door of the shop was closed. There was no commotion of warriors inside. However, many people were watching over this place discreetly. Carthew frowned, but he didn't change his visage. He just took Yarrow's team and left. When they reached a quiet cross, he said, "That kid isn't here. Around 100 scouts are hiding around that shop. Something just happened, I assume. We should wait for a while. You guys go find a place to rest first. I'm going to ask for some information." Except for Carthew, this was the first time Yarrow and the others had visited the Heaven Punishment City. Since they weren't familiar with the environment, they just followed his orders. Soon, Carthew took Yarrow and the others to Sa-Fa's training yard. Carthew let Yalan, Tai Mu, and Ao Jaya find a resting place first. He brought Yarrow to see Sa-Fa. Sir Carthew, Sa-Fa respectfully kneeled down to greet him. He seemed to be very excited. "Anything new from Ka Fu? Why did he close?" Carthew signaled for him to get up and asked. "Seems like Master Russell had visited the shop. I've sent my men to scout. They reported that Master Russell had used his power to restrain that shop. But it wasn't for a long time. Ka Tuor and the others had disappeared from the Heaven Punishment City discreetly. No one knows where they were hiding. No one has found them yet," reported Sa-Fa. Carthew frowned, wishing he had more details. Then, he advised Sa-Fa to keep an eye on the commotion in the city. He ordered him that once he spotted something strange, he must report immediately. Several days later, Bai Tian, hegemon of the Underworld League, took Bai Ru and some other warriors in disguise to the Heaven Punishment City. They found a manor to stay at and arranged people to search for information. 2 days later, Fan Tien of the 9-star Chamber of Commercial wore a mask and entered the Heaven Punishment City together with his warriors from outside the land of God Punishment. A corner in the Heaven Punishment City. Inside a shop with the alchemist symbol on the door, alchemist Jester was urging flames from his fingers, his face ashen. His subtle flames then flew towards the sea of consciousness of Bao Ao, Jeji, and Bo Ruo. 3 pellets as big as longans exploded directly in their sea of consciousness. A fresh and gentle aroma diffused from the pellet, turning into a pure energy entering their sea of consciousness. Jester's forehead was covered in sweat. His face looked solemn as he used the soul consciousness to cut the connection between the soul-sucking demonic flowers and the victim's god soul. After a long period, Jester wiped his sweat. The 5 fingers on his left hand shot flows of blue flame, engulfing the 3 soul-sucking demonic flowers and burning them. Slowly, the demonic flowers turned into ashes. The bony bodies of Bao Ao and the 2 others were exposed after the demonic flowers vanished. Jester quickly ingested pellets. He closed his eyes to steady his breath. He looked very tired. Feng Xiao, Feng Rao, and 5/3 Sky of King God Realm warriors were sitting down and having green tea in a corner of this shop. They had been gazing at the alchemist for the whole process. Crack, crack, crack. Clear cracking sounds echoed from the bodies of Jeji, Bo Ruo, and Bao Ao. Although they were pale, their eyes sparkled brightly. They were so relieved. Finally, the soul-sucking demonic flower that had bound them for a long time had been uprooted, leaving no trace. Without that wicked pressure, the 3 of them felt even their bores relaxed. Feng Rao and Feng Xiao exchanged looks. They stood up and smiled, and walked towards that area. "Thank you, Miss Feng Rao." Bao Ao's team bent their body slightly, thanking her sincerely. "No need to thank me. If you are truly grateful, say thanks to Shiyang. Without his promise, I would never have spent so much for you guys. Haha. You were lucky to have befriended that kid. Honestly, I admire you guys, said Feng Rao seriously. Miss Feng Rao, you don't need to admire us. I think that if you got into trouble, that kid will save you at any cost, Bao Ao chuckled. I don't think he will be that generous for me. Feng Rao shook her head and smiled. Only you guys who came here with him will receive his treats. I think that the others will never receive such kindness from him. Bao Ao's team looked at each other and smiled. They felt lucky that they didn't have any grudge against Shi Yang when they were in the Grace mainland. Otherwise, they wouldn't have been able to stay alive. Jester, the payment I agreed to give you will be submitted as scheduled. We won't mistreat you. Feng Xiao expressed assurance to the alchemist, who was adjusting his energy. Jester was still exhausted. He suddenly opened his dull eyes and said, "Let me join your operation to search for the star map. I can give you 50% discount. You also know about the star map?" Feng Rao was surprised. Famous leaders all received the information from your father. How could I not know about it? Jester was indifferent. That is why I agreed to help you save these three. It was because of the star map. Now that they are cured, we can negotiate about the real deal. The new star area should have a lot of special herbs and floras, which none of you are familiar with. If I join you guys, it'll be better for both parties. Otherwise, those spiritual plants and herbs die soon. Feng Rao and Feng Xiao exchanged looks, frowning. I know that you can't decide this right now. After you get back, you can tell your father about my deal. I think that with his wisdom and knowledge, he will know that bringing me will be an advantage. Jester closed his eyes, waving his hand. Off you go. Feng Xiao nodded, talking in a low tone. I will send your offer to my father. Let's go. Feng Rao nodded to Bao Ao, Jeji, and Bo Ruo. They left the alchemist's shop together with their guards. Waiting until Feng Xiao's team had left, Jester opened his eyes after a while. He took out a sound stone, his eyes bright and respectful. He kneeled down and sent the message. Master, I am sure that Feng Ku has the star map. Chapter 822. A single blade attends a banquet. Chapter 822. A single blade attends a banquet. A secret cavern in the land of God punishment. Ka Tuor sat cross-legged, his face calm. Suddenly, he felt something and he took out a sound stone from his sleeve. Ka Tuor frowned and checked the stone. The sound wave that came from the sound stone echoed directly in Ka Tuor's sea of consciousness. His eyes brightened up, smiling. Brother, Feng Ku has saved your people. Shi Yang cheered up. Are you sure? Yes, I'm sure. Ka Tuor nodded. My people saw those three. The soul-sucking demonic flowers were gone. They've recovered. I think they are slowly restoring their power. Nothing bad has happened. Have them bring my people here, advised Shi Yang. Okay. Ka Tuor stroked the soundstone, sending his message. What should we do now? Asked Ka Fu. Shi Yang got up, contemplating. I agreed with Feng Rao that after they healed those three, I would give her the star map. It seems like I have to go to the Heaven Punishment City this time to solve this. Brother, will it be okay going to the Heaven Punishment City now? Ka Tuor was a little bit worried. They saved my people. I'm coming to hand over the star map. What danger could there be? Shi Yang smiled, talking nonchalantly. Their objective is my star map. They won't cause more trouble. Brother, you shouldn't negotiate a life star. You better not. A life star is so precious. It is not guaranteed that Feng Ku will give you one. If you provoke him, he may punish you. Ka Tuor hesitated for a while before reminding Shi Yang. Right, I understand. Once the other three come here, you guys arrange for them to leave the land of God punishment. Shi Yang took a deep breath then continued, I'm going now. Contact me if anything happens. Okay. Shi Yang emerged to the stone passage of the underground cavern. He navigated which direction to go and then left. 15 minutes after he left, Ka Fu released his soul consciousness to sense. Then, his face darkened. He asked, Dage, why didn't you take the star map? With the star map, we can bargain with any force. You've received the essence inheritance. That kid is no use to you now. Did you really consider him your senior? In our land of God punishment, benefits go first. Everything else is just bullshit. After he found out that Shi Yang got the map, Ka Fu signaled Ka Tuor many times to rob it directly. He had soon recognized that Shi Yang had only the second sky of King God realm, the same realm as him. At the same time, bloody slaughterer Ka Tuor was at the peak of King God realm. After he had received the essence inheritance, he had stepped 1 foot closer to reaching the original God realm. Ka Fu thought that once his brother joined hands to rob the star map from Shi Yang, it would have been effortless. When they got the star map, they would have been able to escape the land of God punishment and hide in their lair. While waiting for Ka Tuor to break into the original God realm, they could have explored the star map or exchange it for something just as good. These two options were much better than following Shi Yang. Bloody slaughterer Ka Tuor contemplated for a while, then said weakly, "Do you know what realm he had the first time I met him?" "What realm?" Ka Fu was surprised. "The second sky of true God realm." Ka Tuor took a deep breath. It took just 7 years. 7 years. He's reached the King God realm and even the second sky of King God realm. Can you believe it? Ka Fu discolored in fright. He couldn't help but shout, "How could this be?" Bloody slaughterer Ka Tuor smiled miserably, shaking his head. "It's okay if you don't believe me. I've seen it with my own eyes, but I can't believe it's true." He spent 7 years to cross a major realm, from the second sky of True God realm to the second sky of King God realm. Have you ever heard of any talent like him in our raging flame star area? Never. Ka Fu's voice trembled, his eyes showing deep fear. That year in the solar star exploding fragment field, he had only the True God realm cultivation base. However, his performance was comparable to the King God realm. Ka Tuor recalled his painful memories. "Actually, I was fluttered." Of course, he had utilized the special condition of the solar star exploding fragment field. "Anyhow, I couldn't kill him. And today, he's reached the second sky of King God realm. I can sense that his aura is more than 5 times stronger than yours." Ka Fu was shaken. He looked dumbstruck. "I'm sure that if we had attacked him, not only would we have had gotten nothing, but we would have also lost the chance to be on his side." Ka Tuor looked at his brother deep in the eyes. "His real power isn't less than mine. Although I'm combative and blunt, I'm not stupid." Ka Fu didn't say anything else. Having a good relationship with him is better than being his enemies. If I were sure that I could smash him, would I be so patient to wait until this moment and call him brother for so long? Bloody slaughterer Ka Tuor forced a smile and shook his head. "I can't see myself beating him. I can't. If he has enough time to cultivate, he will be the brightest star in the raging flame star area. His light can even subdue the greatest like Du Tianji and Fan Tian. If I don't seize this chance in having a good relationship with him, will I be any different from an idiot?" Ka Fu was surprised. After a long time, he nodded and sighed. "Dag, I was wrong. My vision was narrow. Cooperate with him. No matter what he does, we have to support him wholeheartedly. He will change our destiny. I believe in him." Bloody slaughterer Ka Tuor said loud and clear. Ka Fu's eyes brightened. Blue Demon Pirates Base, Heaven Punishment City. Feng Rao was sitting neatly on her high platform, waiting for something, her eyes gloomy. Ka Tuor's troops had taken the other 3 away for a long time. If Ka Tuor was still in the land of God punishment, he should have taken action by now. Why has that kid not come here yet? Feng Xiao was worried and he walked back and forth impatiently. "Little sister, are you sure that kid was not just joking with you?" Feng Rao shook her head, smiling reluctantly. "I don't think so. He knows that nothing good would happen by standing against us in the land of God punishment. Moreover, with his power, even if he has the star map, he can't do anything alone. Is it possible that Ka Tuor took the star map?" Feng Ku squinted and furrowed his brows. Ka Tuor has always been infamous. If he knew about the star map, he would have taken action. I understand him well. For his welfare, he won't care about anything else. It is possible, Feng Xiao nodded, jabbering, Should we send troops to clean up Ka-Tuor's base? Impossible. Ka-Tuor isn't an idiot. Ku shook his head. Then what should we do? Just wait like this. Wait for that kid to turn himself in? It doesn't sound like a good plan. Feng Xiao scratched his head thinking about this tricky problem. If we don't get the star map, we will lose our face this time. We have invited leaders of the greatest forces everywhere to gather in the land of God punishment. And now we're going to tell them that we got wrong information. They will ridicule us for sure. Even if Ka-Tuor has different plans, it won't work. Feng Rao was calm. Ka-Tuor is at the third sky of King Godrealm and his brother is at the second sky of King Godrealm. Even if they join hands, they won't be able to capture Shiyang. Sister, did he enchant you? He's just a warrior at the second sky of King Godrealm. How could he defeat those brothers? What kind of joke is that? Feng Xiao was enraged. You let your emotions control you. I think your thought process has gone astray. You can't see the real situation. Feng Ku didn't believe what his daughter said. It didn't sound real that he could defeat those brothers. Little Rao, you overthought this. Feng Rao was so vexed. As she had fought Shiyang, she knew how tough he was. Nevertheless, bloody slaughterer Ka-Tuor was also an infamous villain in the land of God punishment. Most of the warriors at the same level couldn't fight as worthy opponents. Ka-Fu, his brother, was also a cunning opponent. This pair of brothers had been together for so many years, but they hadn't had many failures. If she had never fought against Shiyang, she wouldn't have believed that Shiyang could escape these two brothers either. However, she believed that he could do that despite the fact that her father and brother didn't buy it. Wait a little longer. I believe he will show up. He won't deceive me. Feng Rao didn't have absolute confidence in this. Even if you guys were close, for the star map, he would lie to anyone. My sister, you are a heroine. Why are you sorrowful because of the loss of affection? Sigh, women. When in love, their intelligence quotient reduces greatly. We shouldn't trust your suggestions. Feng Xiao felt very annoyed. He walked to the door and shouted, we have to do something. We can't just wait like this. Okay, you send troops to search around. Do not dismiss any cavern. When you find anything about that kid, report immediately. Feng Ku nodded, agreeing with this plan and believing that his daughter had made a mistake this time. Feng Rao grimaced. Waiting for Shiyang, she started to doubt herself, thinking that Shiyang might have deceived her. However, at this moment, a voice arose. Chief, a young man asked to see you. He said his name is Shiyang. Feng Rao's soft body shivered. An extreme joy sparkled in her eyes. As her heart sent out vibes, she calmed down but maintained her smile. Feng Ku was astounded. He jolted and shouted, bring him in. Feng Xiao halted by the door and burst out laughing with an odd face. Oh well. I guess there is someone as stupid as Feng Rao. Haha. He comes. I'm so surprised. He looked at Feng Rao, laughing. Sister, you do have your tricks. That kid must have been so charmed and deluded that he couldn't see the right road. Feng Ku also smiled. It is fortunate that he came. I didn't expect that he would be a man of his words. I looked down at him. Yeah. This boy is truly a character. He dares to come to our lair. Haha, interesting. Ka-Tuor and his brother couldn't deal with him. I told you. Feng Rao smiled in content. She stood up and walked to a bright mirror to adjust her hair and dabbed a thin layer of powder on her face. After making sure that she was flawlessly beautiful, she walked to the door. On the wide street, Shiyang stood upright like a spear, his visage valiant, cold and harsh. Warriors of the Blue Demon Pirates were waiting for him solemnly, inviting him to get in. Shiyang nodded without a beam of fear in his eyes. He walked with his head held high. He deliberately strolled towards the most dangerous place of the land of God punishment. Chapter 823, Don't Lean Too Close. Chapter 823, Don't Lean Too Close, Haha. Young hero, you came. Little buddy, you have kept your word and I am now happier than ever. Feng Ku laughed loudly and hospitably in his spacious hall. He looked so happy. Shi Yang and Feng Rao walked together. The pirates of the Blue Demon studied him with curious faces along the way. After being away for more than 200 years, Feng Rao was back with the information of the star map, which stirred up those who knew the legends of the raging flamestar area. As they knew that the star map was in Shi Yang's hands, they were all thrilled that he came. Shi Yang was wearing a tight warrior black costume. He didn't look very outstanding. However, his eyes were bright and his spirit was high. At the same time, his aura was introverted, which made people not dare look down on him. Feng Rao wore a long silky dress that revealed her graceful body. Her slender legs were exposed naturally and beautifully while she walked. In the land of God punishment, the reputation of her glamour had spread widely. More than 200 years ago, she was the number 1 or 2 most beautiful woman. She had been away for a while, but when she came back, she had retained her beauty. Now she had the bearings of an attractive, mature woman. The space pirates looked at her with hot eyes and drooling mouths. When she and Shi Yang walked shoulder by shoulder, she attracted a lot of looks. However, they didn't dare to show her their lustful visage. All were showing great respect to her. She was Feng Ku's only daughter, the young lady of the chief. She also had a high realm and performed many brutal deeds. Before she had left the land of God punishment, she had already been notorious. And now she came back with a crucial treasure. No one dared to mistreat her. Greeting, Precursor Feng Ku, Shi Yang smiled, slightly bent his body in a manner that he was both humble but also independent. He naturally walked to the center of the stone hall. He showed his manners with his back upright. The Blue Demon's base was a strange conical structure, which was around 100 meters tall. With a spacious foundation, its radius shrank as it went to the top. At this moment, Shi Yang was in the middle level of this building, a large space without windows. The hall had many big stone pillars with exquisite patterns and inlaid crystals for illuminating the room. Shi Yang could feel the faint energy ripples of those pillars. Besides Feng Ku and Feng Xiao in this stone hall, Feng Ku's subordinates were also present. Most of them had the third sky of King God Realm cultivation base. Before Shi Yang reached the hall, Feng Ku smiled and rose his arm to make a signal. Those warriors sitting on his side stood up, bowed to him and left. Then, only Feng Ku, Feng Rao, Feng Xiao, and Shi Yang remained in this large hall. Good, you're a man of his word. You have integrity. Feng Ku was sitting on the high throne of this hall. He waved his hand to signal Shi Yang to sit down. Then he said, "To be honest, the star map is really crucial. You surprised me by coming here personally. Haha. If I were you, I wouldn't have exchanged the star map for just 3 human body cauldrons. And I would never have shown up to fulfill my promise after I confirmed that my people were saved. For the star map, I've been patient for years. I spent so much for it." Feng Xiao also nodded and smiled. "Little buddy, you're quite the character. I'm not surprised that you were the young expert who was eligible to enter the extreme purgatory field. Seeing you, I know the Dark Firmament Divine Nation has a lot of talents. I've promised Feng Rao that I would bring her the star map and I couldn't fail her. In our life, we have something that we must hold on to. Take my 3 friends as an example. In your eyes, they are trivial and not worth your concern. But to me, they are very important. For their lives, I don't think paying the star map is unreasonable." Shi Yang smiled, turning to look at Feng Rao beside him. His eyes sparkled with a faint hot light. "If I didn't come here, she would have hated me to death. You know how I think." Feng Rao smiled. Her eyes twinkled as though she had a good mood. Feng Ku and Feng Xiao were the ones with cunning hearts. From Shi Yang's and Feng Rao's words and gestures, they smelled something abnormal. "Here is the star map. Precursor Feng Ku, please receive it." Shi Yang contemplated before taking out the star map from his fantasy sky ring. His mind flickered and the star map turned into a beam of light, flying toward Feng Ku. Feng Ku's eyes brightened. He couldn't hold in his laughter. He grabbed the star map, sending his soul consciousness to sense it. He was so excited and he shouted, "Good, good, good." Feng Xiao found it hard to cover his thrill. He instinctively stepped forward, wanting to see the mysteries of the star map. Little Rao, take Shi Yang to rest first. I'm going to summon the leaders of the other forces to discuss finding the new star area. We also invite our little buddy to join the meeting. He brought us the star map, so he should join us. Feng Ku cheered up. He wanted to say something, but because of the star map, he just let them go. Feng Rao giggled, throwing Shi Yang her charming look and walking out of the room. Shi Yang didn't linger. He bowed to Feng Ku and followed Feng Rao, letting her arrange him a place to rest. Father, it seems like my sister and that kid are in a relationship. I think my sister loves him, said Feng Rao after the other two left. He frowned. Feng Ku stopped exploring the star map. His face darkened as he said, right. Seems like little Rao likes him. But that kid. I can't tell. My sister said that when we find the new star area, we have to give him one life star. Father, do you really want to do that? Feng Xiao didn't want that to happen. It was obvious in his eyes. He continued in a soft voice, leaders of the other forces will join us directly. If we do find the new star, we will need a giant workforce and countless materials to explore it. Then, each leader will have their own requests. Russell, Barrett, and Zhenong aren't easy to deal with. Wars will start. If we give him a life star, it may be hard to manage. Feng Ku quieted down, knitting his eyebrows tightly. After a while, he spoke up. At this moment, we will agree to his condition. When we find the new star area, we will negotiate again. If that kid is as outstanding as what Feng Rao told us and he wants to work for us wholeheartedly, we will let him marry little Rao and give him a life star. Anyway, if he married little Rao, he will become one of us. That life star will belong to us. Just consider this. Father, you're so wise, Feng Xiao complimented. He paused for a while then continued, what should we do if his competence isn't as prominent as we thought? Or what if he ends up not wanting to work for us or doesn't want to marry my sister? Haha. Do you need me to tell you how to work in a situation like this? Feng Ku's eyes expressed murderous intentions as he talked coldly. Feng Xiao seemed to wake up. He laughed quietly. I got it. Check out the star map first. Don't overthink. If that kid doesn't have sufficient power and competence, even if they love each other, I will interfere. Unless he can show his abilities and prove to provide strong support for us, he is too naive if he thinks that he will earn something in our territory. Feng Ku knitted his eyebrows and concentrated on the star map. He gathered his spirit and started to feel it. On the top of the conical building was a triangle platform where someone put a tall glass table with sparkling, fulgent fruits. Shi Yang and Feng Rao sat on the glass stools, eating exotic fruits and drinking fragrant wine. They were watching the Heaven Punishment City underneath with relaxed faces. This conical palace was the base of the Blue Demon Pirates. It was the highest place in the Heaven Punishment City. From this building, they could see each corner or street of the Heaven Punishment City clearly. Feng Ku liked to view things from a high elevation because everything he saw was tiny. When he had free time, he often went there to watch the city, which gave him a natural pride and satisfaction. Sitting a glass table away from Feng Rao was Shi Yang, who was also observing the entire city. He could vaguely feel the satisfactory feeling that Feng Ku had. This city was so vast. It was the most strangely prosperous and luxury city of the entire Raging Flamestar area. So many pirate organizations based here. Seeing countless thugs, villains, thieves, and madmen from everywhere else moving under his feet, he felt like he had them all in the palm of his hand. This feeling was so marvelous. How is it? I didn't lie to you, right? Shi Yang took a sip of the fragrant wine in his glass. He stood up and looked at the tiny warriors moving to and fro under his feet. He said loudly, your father knows how to enjoy life. From this place, with his second sky of original God realm, he could see the details of warriors' appearance and commotions who are on the ground. Ha. I think no armed battle could stay away from his sights, right? I knew you will come. Feng Rao smiled brightly. She got up from her seat, walked gently over to him and stood next to him to watch the city under their feet. She talked to him mildly. A man with the drive and ambition to build a kingdom can satisfy his pride by controlling people's life. But we women don't want these. A man we choose to entrust our life is more important. Shi Yang was shaken. He smiled, turning to her. What do you think of me? Am I worthy of your trust? Geez. Feng Rao smiled, shaking her head. Her beautiful eyes met his eyes for a while. You do know how to use water to speed up your boat. You're too dangerous. You have a lot of wicked thoughts. You can't stay still. Your woman won't have peaceful days. You like adventures, don't you? Shi Yang smiled. We are the types of people who have to pursue realms and powers for our entire life. Do you think we will ever have a normal life? If we don't struggle with adversity, we can't advance our power to have a moment of peace. Don't you think so? While talking, he suddenly turned around, walking towards Feng Rao with his passionate eyes. Feng Rao's maiden heart shivered, but she didn't back off to keep a safe distance with him. Her beautiful eyes gazed at him. She gritted her teeth, her cheeks blushing. Bastard! Don't lean too close to me. Chapter 8:24. Can you be more shameless? Chapter 8:24. Can you be more shameless? The tall platform of the Heaven Punishment City. Shi Yang stuck close to Feng Rao chest to chest. His eyes were hot, and he was grinning evilly. Feng Rao was wearing a silky floaty dress, which revealed her graceful, attractive curves. Her milky bosom was high and ample. Her charming face showed that she was shy as she looked at him with her bright, watery eyes. Shi Yang pretended not to see it. He swayed his body to caress her body. He felt happy, without shame. Can you be more shameless? Feng Rao blushed. She snorted at him, but she didn't step back as though she wanted to see the most shameless action he could do. Oh dear, I can. Shi Yang grinned evilly, placing his left leg between Feng Rao's slender legs. Their legs caressed each other, and they could feel each other's warmth. He muttered, "You look so beautiful right now. You're so shameless." Feng Rao couldn't stand it. She took a step back, gasping for her breath. Her charming face was so red it looked as red as a rose. She gritted her teeth, rolling her eyes at him vehemently. I've been asking for your profile. You are dependent on Princess Zi Yarrow of the Dark Firmament Divine Nation. Do you like her? Are you one of her soldiers? Otherwise, with her realm and power, how could she bind you? If you like her, don't flirt with me. Or else, I won't let you leave at ease. Don't be jealous. She and I are just making use of each other. It's not as complicated as you think. Shi Yang felt funny, shaking his head, talking seriously. The relationship between she and I isn't as deep as what we have now. Believe me, in this raging flamestar area, there is only one woman in my heart. And it is you. Feng Rao's heart jumped with joy. She lifted her head, revealing her jade-like neck. Then you have to agree with me that from now on, you're no longer Princess Yi Zhao's escort. No problem, Shi Yang agreed without spending a moment to think about it. He smiled brightly. What else do you want? Tell me. I can satisfy all of your wishes. Haha, you're my woman. I will treat you well. Your woman? Feng Rao blushed and sorted. Not that easy. You bastard. Do you remember how you treated me previously? You almost killed me. I'm not gonna forgive you that easily. The past is in the past. Don't remember what happened before. Shi Yang chuckled. His figure flashed and he stopped in front of Feng Rao once more time. He pulled her into his embrace then whispered in her ear. Isn't it good this way? I came to the land of God punishment for you. I handed over the star map for you. I've tried my best to create a good relationship with your brother and father. And with you. If you're content, I'll be satisfied. Sweet but worthless words came out tenderly from his mouth. Those barefaced words between lovers were like spells that calmed Feng Rao. She proactively hugged him, murmuring, "You're talking sweetly. Tell me more." Of course, Shi Yang would satisfy her. He had mastered speaking such sentimental words in a soft tone in the other world. They filled Feng Rao's heart with sweetness. Her body shivered in joy. Where has that bastard gone to? It's been so long. Has he left already? Zi Yarrow was so bored, walking on the spacious street of the Heaven Punishment City. She kept complaining. Yalan, Tai Mu, and Ao Jera were very interested in the endless rare cultivating materials in the Heaven Punishment City. They scattered and bought what they liked, leaving Carthew to walk with Zi Yarrow on the streets of the Heaven Punishment City. I received the news saying that he, Ka Tuor, and Ka Fu had left the Heaven Punishment City. Yeah, I think they are hiding in the land of God punishment now, Carthew smiled, talking deliberately. Don't be impatient. I heard that he agreed with Feng Rao, Feng Ku's daughter, that he would come back to give the star map when he confirms that his friends were cured. Feng Rao. Is she beautiful? Zi Yarrow slammed her delicate brows together, asking instinctively. A thorny rose of the land of God punishment, Feng Ku's precious gem. Of course, she is beautiful. Ha ha. Many crazy people of the land of God punishment like her. However, if compared to your highness, she's still a little bit behind, Carthew smiled and answered. Why is he with that woman? Snorted Zi Yarrow. They came out of the Purgatory Star together. That little girl Feng Rao was one of the prisoners of the Purgatory Star. She was there for the star map, I supposed. Carthew furrowed his brows. That Feng Ku is too cunning. For the star map, he let his daughter disguise and come to the Purgatory Star for 200 years. They are such patient people. If that bastard Shi Yang comes to the Heaven Punishment City, will he go directly to the Blue Demon's base? Asked Zi Yarrow. Carthew nodded and raised his arm to point at a conical building. That is the headquarters of the Blue Demon in the Heaven Punishment City. It is a heavily guarded place. Feng Ku is in there at the moment. Oh. Carthew suddenly halted, baffled. Light shot out from his bright eyes. He focused on the top of that building, his face astounded. Zi Yarrow also lifted up her head to watch. However, due to her low realm, she could only see a vague area atop that building. She couldn't see things clearly. Carthew was bewildered for a long time, his countenance odd. He hesitated for a while before taking out a hexagonal quartz mirror and giving it to Zi Yarrow. The top of that building has a barrier to prevent people from peeping in. This mirror can help you see through it. Zi Yarrow was skeptical. Her eyes brightened as she concentrated on the mirror. A man and a woman were hugging each other on a crystal platform atop that building. They were talking to each other sweetly and harmoniously as if they had so many things to say. Her soft body trembled. Her face grimaced shortly and she had fire in her eyes. Zi Yarrow shouted indignantly, "Shameless! Shameless! That shameless bastard!" She felt like her heart was going to burst. She felt so vexed but she couldn't explain why. Her sorrow made her confused. Her rage burst out like an erupting volcano. She was so angry that she wanted to kill someone. Her body shivered as she cursed under her breath. Carthew rubbed his chin, looking at her quietly, his eyes strange. They're just hugging. I can't say it's shameless. Anyway, that kid is lucky enough. Feng Rao is an extraordinarily beautiful woman. TSK. During this crucial period when heroes are gathering for the star map, his acting's so relaxed. He even has time for love. Excellent. Bastard. He deserves 1,000 blades stabbing his back. Zi Yarrow ground her teeth. We've crossed 1,000 miles to get here. He doesn't have morals. How dare he cooperate with the chief pirate's daughter? I'm so angry. She didn't know why seeing Shi Yang and Feng Rao hugging made her feel so agitated. Annoyingly, sorrow rose in her heart as she hated that she couldn't storm over there to rip them apart. Don't be so angry. The Heaven Punishment City has many restrictions. If you disclose your identity before Aogu Duo and Leona arrive, I wouldn't be able to protect your life. Carthew saw her rage escalating. He was startled, hurrying to advise her. Shi Yang is just a member of your entourage. You don't need to mind him that much. He has the right to pursue the women he chooses. You don't have the right to interfere with him. You have to consider the big picture. Crack. The hexagonal quartz mirror was broken. Crystal pieces shot out everywhere. Zi Yarrow took several deep breaths. Her ample bosom bulged as she said irritatedly, "Not seeing is better and cleaner. Seeing him acting like that, I'm enraged because we've been worried about him the whole time. Darn it. This bastard still has time to work on his love life. Does he even know that people had been waiting and worrying about him anxiously every day? I'm not worried about him." Carthew felt a sting in his heart seeing the priceless hexagonal mirror being broken by Z Yarrow's rage. He muttered begrudgingly, "That kid is so cunning. How could he fall into bad situations that easily? Among us, only you have been worried about him. No one else is worrying." Perhaps Aojera wished for him to die early, though. "I want to meet him. Find a way for me to meet him," Z Yarrow snorted. She calmed down and talked to Carthew. "Please arrange this for me. Give me time." Carthew sighed inwardly, agreeing with her even though he knew it would be troublesome. "But you have to remember that you have to be very careful in the Heaven Punishment City. You can't disclose your identity. At least before Aogu Duo and Leona come, don't let anyone else know our identities." "Okay. I promise," nodded Z Yarrow. A gateway to the Heaven Punishment City. Two people walked into the city. Guards by the gateways kneeled down on one knee to greet them. "Welcome, Sir Barrett." "Welcome, Sir Jianong." The two nodded and walked into the city, followed by more than 10 profound realm warriors with brutal and bloodthirsty auras. Barrett was a beefy human who was around 2 meters tall and wore heavy black armor. Jianong was a clansman of the Dark Spirit clan. He had a waist-length cyan hair outline his cold and solemn face. "Feng Ku must have the star map now. Otherwise, he wouldn't have urged us to come here. Haha, I heard that Feng Areo's back. I have to pay attention to her. I can't afford to let her escape again." Barrett grinned, looking at the stone building of the Blue Demon Pirates. Suddenly, he was baffled. He peered to see clearly, his face grimaced instantly. Jianong followed his eyes, looking further. He then burst out laughing and teased Barrett. "Barrett, I think you've miscalculated. You've been yearning for Feng Rao for so many years and now, someone else has taken her. Interesting. Haha. I think that kid has brought the star map here, but I didn't think that he'd be with Feng Rao." Barrett darkened his face. His brutal eyes sparkled. "Feng Ku has promised me many years ago that if I break through to the original God Realm, he will let me marry Feng Rao. I've reached the original God Realm. Now I will see if he will fulfill his promise or not. Barrett, if you marry Feng Rao, you will be bound to Feng Ku, right? You've been trying for so many years just to work for Feng Ku and his family. Will you give up all your hard work and achievements?" Jianong was astonished. Before Feng Rao had left the land of God punishment, Barrett had proposed to her. However, his realm wasn't high enough at that time, and he wasn't really outstanding among the forces of pirates in the land of God punishment. After more than 200 years, Barrett has become one of the strongest warriors of the land of God punishment and one of the biggest bosses of the Heaven Punishment City. He thought that he would finally get what he wanted. However, while standing just a few steps from the Heaven Punishment City, he saw something that enraged him rapidly. "I want to meet Feng Ku immediately," Barrett shouted, disregarding the rule of the Heaven Punishment City, which banned flying in the city. He wildly flew away. Chapter 825, Stand Out. Chapter 825, Stand Out. Barrett stormed in like an enraged lion. He didn't care about the fact that warriors weren't allowed to fly inside the Heaven Punishment City. He flew furiously towards Feng Ku's Blue Demon base. Because of his raging flame, many people got hurt on the spacious square standing on his way. They cursed under their breath, trying to stay away from him as they were afraid that he would attack them to vent out his anger. Barrett's main power Upanishad was fire. He was also a hot-tempered man. Once he was infuriated, a flame would burn all over his body. The flame of an original God Realm warrior was blazingly hot and it would increase the temperature of the Heaven Punishment City very quickly. Warriors on the streets yelled and cursed. However, when they looked up to see who caused the flames, they found that the rule breaker was Barrett. They immediately shut their mouths, not daring to utter a word. Although there were around dozens of different pirate organizations in the land of God punishment, there were only 4 truly mighty organizations. Barrett's Black Curtain was one of those 4 brutal, unreasonable forces. Barrett's Black Curtain grew fast. He had spent 200 years to make an anonymous force one of the 4 giants of the Heaven Punishment City. The Black Curtain pirates had become famous in the entire Raging Flamestar area as a legend of Heaven Punishment City. Barrett was the man who had created this legendary force. Within 200 years, he had broken through to the original God realm and brought the Black Curtain pirates to the peak of glory. They became a mighty force and their name was well known everywhere. Those who got inflamed by Barrett's fire were angry, but they didn't complain. They cowered, pretended not to see him breaking the rule. They were afraid that Barrett could see their discontent. Among the 4 great leaders, Barrett was the most aggressive one. He would kill people without explaining or reasoning. His deeds were merciless. To him, power ruled over everything else. His subordinates consisted of countless thugs and villains. Not many people dared to provoke him. He stormed fast towards the Blue Demon's base while the fire around his body shot out like burning meteors. Jianong was also one of the leaders. He became excited, following the infuriated man. It seemed like Jianong thought it was fun to see Barrett angry. Often, he would tease his companion, TSK, our poor Barrett. You've been waiting for 200 years to see Feng Rao and to become her beloved husband. How does it feel? Just like pouring more oil into the fire, Barrett's flames of anger increased. As soon as he landed, he shouted, "Feng Ku." Inside the stone hall, Feng Ku was startled to hear his shout while he was immersing his mind into the star map. He retrieved his soul consciousness, his face dark. His figure flashed and he reached Barrett. He scolded the man with a grimace. "Barrett, why are you acting insane again? I'm nice enough to invite you here to discuss the star map. Do you want to trouble me? Where's Feng Rao? Call her for me." Barrett took a deep breath. His eyes sparked a fire as he thundered indignantly. "What did you promise me? You said that once I've entered the original God realm, you will let Feng Rao marry me. Now that I've reached the original God realm, I want Feng Rao. You should give me a reasonable answer now." Jianong chuckled and rose one hand to show his expression. "Big bro Feng Ku, you did say that. I can testify. I can too. You did say that." Russell's voice arose from deep underground. As soon as he finished talking, Russell appeared, standing next to Barrett and Jianong. He grinned eccentrically as though he hated that this world couldn't be in chaos. Feng Ku was surprised. It has been 200 years, and during this entire time, Feng Rao wasn't home. He didn't notice this and he had almost forgotten his promise. As Barrett reminded him, he suddenly recalled that he did make such promise. More than 200 years ago, Barrett was just a warrior at his first sky of King God realm who sought refuge in the land of God punishment. When he saw Feng Rao for the first time, he was stunned because of her beauty. He swore that he would make her his wife. At that time, Feng Ku had already been an overlord of the land of God punishment. Naturally, he looked down on Barrett who had only the first sky of King God realm cultivation base. He mocked the man for his low realm and said that he didn't deserve his daughter. He had publicly said that if Barrett had reached the original God realm with a strong background force, he would fulfill his wish. At that time, he hadn't recognized Barrett's potential because people still chased Barrett to kill him. Feng Ku thought that Barrett would never make it to the original God realm. Not long after that, Feng Ku got the information of the star map. Feng Rao had volunteered to take this mission and went to the Purgatory Star to search for the star map. She left by herself. Barrett had yelled and shouted when Feng Rao had gone missing. Later on, he had to let her go. After more than 200 years, Barrett had reached the original God realm from his shallow realm that year. At the same time, he had replaced his former leader to be the big boss of the Black Curtain, the overlord of a region in the Heaven Punishment City. And now, Feng Rao came back. After Barrett received this news, he became so excited and he went to the Heaven Punishment City immediately. However, Feng Ku had forgotten what he had promised the young man. As Barrett, Russell, and Jianong reminded him, he suddenly recalled that small event. Feng Ku, I am now asking you. Will you fulfill your promise to me or not? Barrett chinned up, his eyes flaming. If you say no and we end up exploring the star map together, I won't be able to trust you in negotiations when we find something. Then, wouldn't our efforts feel like they were for nothing? Russell and Jianong also nodded, implying that they agreed with this reasoning. While they were talking, more and more leaders of the pirates came. They gathered slowly. Bloody Slaughterer Ka Tuor was in that crowd, too. He was looking at the two sides with awe. Sage Jester, you are also here? Ah, Precursor Jester, come in, come in. Professor Jester, you've agreed to give me more pellets. You remember, right? Suddenly, a rustling noise came from the crowd. Alchemist Jester, who had his hands hidden in his sleeves, was strolling towards the hall. He nodded indifferently to people who greeted him. Jester was at the original God realm. His realm was outstanding in this place. And he was an extraordinary alchemist. Many leaders of the pirates had to ask for his pellets. They all paid him special respect. When he came, they showed their respect, proactively giving way to him. Jester nodded, walking coldly towards Barrett, Russell, and Jianong. He stood still and slightly bent his body to greet Feng Ku. Feng Ku, big brother, thank you for letting me join in this. Feng Ku smiled reluctantly, waving his hands. Professor, don't be too polite. We need your instructions with spiritual herbs and grass on the new star area. Blunt people like us can only fight. We don't know too much about the functions of herbs. Big brother Feng Ku, you're just trying to be humble. It is my great honor to participate in this operation, Jester smiled. He glared at Barrett, frowning. Why did you make so much noise? You've come just on time. Please listen to my grievance. Big brother Feng Ku had promised me that when I've reached the original God realm, he will let Feng Rao marry me. I'm at the original God realm now, and I want him to give me the final answer. Barrett said to Jester with great respect. He tried to calm down, holding in his anger. However, his face still grimaced while he thundered. The words of Big Brother Feng Ku has enormous weight. He won't lie, said Jester seriously. Big Brother Feng Ku, what is your opinion on this matter? Tell us. As the leaders of the pirates were in haste to discuss the star map, they didn't want to waste time because of Barrett's issue. Little Rao. Feng Ku had to go with the flow. He pondered for a while then shouted. His shout reverberated everywhere. Feng Rao had soon noticed the loud noise in the hall. Her beautiful eyes became gloomy, her face cold. She quietly came out from a back door. She stood by Feng Rao, glared at Barrett indifferently, and asked, if you want to marry me, shouldn't you ask me first? Barrett had calmed down for seconds. Seeing Feng Rao, he wasn't happy. Instead, he was more enraged. He shouted hastily, what do you mean? Do you think I am so blind that I didn't see you flirting with that kid? The blazing red flame expanded from his body. He shouted indignantly in the sea of fire. Where is that little dog? Tell him to get his ass here. I want to show him what he gets for touching my woman. I want to burn his soul altar into ashes and kill him slowly die, bit by bit, so he falls with agony. Barrett, control yourself. Feng Ku was enraged, his face cold and dark. This place is my blue demons. It's not your black curtains. Shi Yang brought us the star map. Without him, none of you would even have had a chance to touch a portion of its rewards. Calm down. Don't trouble everyone else. I don't care. I must kill that dog. Barrett was acting strangely angry, thundering. Feng Ku quieted down abruptly. Cold light sparkled deep in his eyes. He seemed to be really enraged. Seeing him getting angry, many leaders who were screaming and yelling shut their mouths abruptly. They all knew that when Feng Ku got angry, he was very intimidating. Even Russell and Jianong, who always wanted to see messy and chaotic situations, had to squeeze a forced smile. They didn't support Barrett's decision in provoking the others anymore. The whole scene was so quiet that people could even hear the sound of a needle falling on the ground. During this time, a beefy figure appeared next to Feng Rao, his face cold but natural. I'm Shi Yang. Good, kid, you have shown your face. You are brave enough. He dares jump out here when Barrett is so mad. Does he care about his life? Haha, he's an outsider. Perhaps he has never heard about Barrett's brutal reputation. True. This kid is in trouble now. The leaders of the pirates became boisterous again. They started to mock and insult Shi Yang. Only bloody slaughterer Ka Tuor didn't utter a word. He was staring at Shi Yang with his savage face, frowning and thinking about something. I told you not to come here. I will handle it. Why did you come here? Feng Rao furrowed her bold brows. She turned around, giving him a forced smile. Since you showed yourself, a small annoyance became a huge problem. Did you really want to provoke that madman? Shi Yang beamed a faint smile as if he didn't care about that. I don't have a habit of letting women shelter me. Brave enough, not bad, Jianong burst out laughing, then said oddly, just a little bit dumb. Yep, dumb he is. Russell nodded, agreeing with Jianong. His eyes were cold and he felt so bitter inside. At this moment, he knew that Shi Yang and Ka Tuor had joined hands to fool him. He felt so annoyed. Chapter 826, Monopolize. Chapter 826, Monopolize. The headquarter of the Blue Demon Pirates in the Heaven Punishment City was boisterous with noise from many people. The pirate leaders felt that something interesting was about to happen. They were waiting for something fun. Jester was an alchemist at the original God Realm. He was standing shoulder to shoulder next to Russell, Barrett, and Jianong. Listening to their mocking words, he observed Shi Yang and got shocked. His eyes brightened with an unknown fear. His body slightly trembled. Small beams of fire shot out from his fingertips that he was hiding in his sleeves. Those flames didn't roll or burn like Barrett's fire. They were tender and nice, as if he was able to mold them into any shapes he liked. Each blacksmith or alchemist, even if his main power wasn't fire, was required to possess a special flame. Human flame or earth flame, they had to have one kind to continue advancing their refining and forging path. Just like Barrett, Jester's main power Upanishad was fire. However, his flame was fused with a special earth flame of the raging flame star area. Although it hasn't had a life form yet, its power was mighty. Jester's flame perhaps wasn't as powerful and bursting as the intimidating flames of Barrett. However, his attainment in using and controlling flames was an ability that Barrett couldn't compare to. As soon as Shi Yang appeared, Jester was sensitive enough to feel the wild and malicious flaming power in his body as an alchemist. Such kind of dense and tremendous power made him gawked. That was why he quieted down instead of talking to support Barrett. He concentrated on Shi Yang carefully. Little dog, you dare come here. I'm sure you don't care about your life. As Barrett saw Shi Yang, he shouted. The flame around his body turned into a raising fire tide, swarming as if it wanted to clean everything. Wanton. Feng Ku was enraged. He rose one arm, tearing something in the sky. A tough lightning strike descended from the sky, directly slashing on Barrett's seething tide. Feng Ku cultivated lightning power. He had made the thunderbolt ball that Feng Rao used previously. Sizzle, sizzle, sizzle. The flames were hit by lightning, sending sparks everywhere. A giant part of those sparks was heading towards Shi Yang. Standing in the crowd of leaders invited here, bloody slaughterer Ka Tuor couldn't help but shout. Those sparks fell like stars that showered on Shi Yang. Feng Rao was also standing next to him. Seeing the flame dots falling from the sky, Shi Yang frowned, but his face was still indifferent. Shortly after, a flow of icy power diffused from him. Crack, crack, crack. Even the void seemed to be frozen. With Shi Yang as the source, thick and solid icicles were formed at the speed naked eyes couldn't observe. Thick white mist covered Shi Yang and Feng Rao. The transparent ice layer under his feet flew up, creating a neat ice shield above their heads. Boom, boom, boom. Dense explosions arose above his head. The flame sparks from Barrett made an impact on the thick ice layer. Shi Yang and Feng Rao were standing under the ice shield. They didn't receive a single burn. None of those sparks were able to get through the ice layer to reach those two. Ice power Upanishad. Not bad. You could shield Bharat's spark rain. Excellent. You fool. If Feng Ku didn't take action first to scatter the sparks, he wouldn't have been able to resist it. Right. It's our big brother Feng Ku who is powerful. He just defended himself from tiny sparks. It doesn't count. Anyway, this ice power Upanishad is good. Many pirate leaders started to discuss noisily as they were all surprised. While they were talking, more leaders who were invited to join the meeting came from another area of the Heaven Punishment City. Seeing the hot atmosphere here, they were curious, asking others for details with great interest. Those brutal and dangerous pirate leaders all hated that they couldn't mess up the whole things. Seeing something fun to enjoy before the meeting, they were all stirred up, laughing and watching the scene. Ice class. Feng Xiao was baffled. He glared at Shi Yang then frowned. Bharat cultivates fire power Upanishad. What a coincidence. Fire and ice are enemies. No wonder they don't like each other. Just a few of warriors in this crowd knew that Shi Yang didn't cultivate ice class power. Besides bloody slaughterer Ka Tuor and Feng Rao, only the jester knew this. Jester was so surprised that the muscles in his face twitched as he was shouted inwardly, "Heaven Flame!" The extremely cold Heaven Flame. Being an alchemist, he understood the magical and mysterious features of Heaven Flames very well. Anyway, Heaven Flames had never appeared in the raging Flamestar area. Seeing Shi Yang perform the power of a Heaven Flame made him very excited. Big brother Feng Ku, I want to ask again. Will you keep your promise? Bharat grimaced, taking a deep breath. As Feng Ku had taken action, he knew it would be hard to kill the other. Bharat pulled himself together. My father agreed with you, but I didn't. Shouldn't you listen to my opinion? Feng Rao knew that her father couldn't help her out in front of so many people like this. She couldn't help but cry with her soft voice. Bharat, you want to marry me. You've passed my father's challenge. You still have to go through my challenge. At this moment, even if Shi Yang isn't as strong as you, it doesn't mean that it will stay that way forever. Choose one of your troops who is at the second sky of King God Realm to fight Shi Yang. If your troop can defeat him, I will marry you. Many people here will witness it. I won't change my mind. How does that sound? After Feng Rao had finished, everybody started to clamor again. They cheered, supporting her idea. Usually, when they encountered something hard to solve with words in the land of God punishment, they would fight to seal the deal. Feng Rao had suggested an option that everyone else liked to see. They loved watching battles. Of course, people would support her idea. True. Bharat, you are at the original God Realm. It is not fair for you to bully that second sky of King God Realm kid. It should be a fight between the same realms. It is right and just. Yeah, it's not fair if they fight each other. If there was a battle between warriors at the same realm, people will accept the result, regardless of who wins. Second sky of King God Realm battles second sky of King God Realm. This is gonna be a fair game. I like it. Many onlookers couldn't help but yell their support. Russell glared at the Bharat then shifted to Feng Rao, who was still calm and natural. All of a sudden, he frowned and said, I've met that kid once. An ordinary second sky of King God Realm warrior can't match him. Don't blame me for not reminding you. Besides the ice power, he uses space power. You have to be careful. His main power isn't ice, it's true. His real competence isn't what he just performed. I can assure you this, Alchemist Jester also reminded. Jianong was astounded. He couldn't help but look at Shi Yang. Bharat paled as he weighed each of his options. He couldn't make up his mind immediately. I think it's a good idea. Bharat, choose one warrior at the same realm as his to fight him. If he wins, little Rao will be all yours. If he fails, we won't talk about this anymore. What do you think? As Feng Ku saw the onlookers agree enthusiastically with this promising battle, he then went with this flow. Bharat, do you dare join this battle? If any of your second sky of King God Realm warriors can defeat him, I agree to marry you. Feng Rao chinned up and urged. Do you dare join this battle or not? Spit it out. If you don't, you should never mention getting married to me ever again. So. At this moment, Shi Yang frowned and stepped one step forward. Reassured by Feng Ku's support, he faced the crowd of the pirate leaders of the land of God punishment. Looked at Barrett, who was hesitant, he said deliberately, any warrior under your command. Second sky of King God Realm or third sky of King God Realm is fair. You can choose one of them to fight me. If your man wins, I will leave immediately without complaining. If your man loses, then shut your king mouth up. Don't linger and babble. Do you agree? The more he talked, the colder Shi Yang's face was. His voice was like the sharp icicle. People were shaken. They were baffled looking at him. Such an extravagant kid. No one could hold his or her screams in astonishment. The warriors under Barrett's commands were more than clouds. They couldn't even count the number of warriors at the third sky of King God Realm. And they had to let Barrett choose as he pleased. Choosing a third sky of King God Realm to fight? Was he crazy? In the Heaven Punishment City, Barrett was famous for his wild insanity. However, today, people recognized that this outsider was also passionately crazy. Feng Rao paled in fright. She opened her mouth but didn't know what to say. She knew Shi Yang's competence. Warriors in the same realm weren't his opponents. However, Feng Rao thought that if he fought a third sky of King God Realm, the result would remain unknown until it was finished. It was obvious that it wouldn't be easy to win. All right. While people were surprised, Barrett shouted his agreement, the muscles in his face twitching. Call Black Horn for me. A silhouette dashed away. It seemed like he was going to summon the one Barrett wanted. The bustle and hustle caused by those leaders ceased as they heard the name, Black Horn. Russell and Genome were startled, looking at Barrett and shouting. You brought Black Horn here? You don't care about leaving your lair guarded anymore? Even Feng Ku, hearing the name Black Horn, had his brows slammed together. He shook his head begrudgingly as if he had already known how dangerous this man was. Since Feng Rao had left the land of God punishment for a long time, she didn't know many of the new faces in the place. She didn't know this number one hotshot named Black Horn. However, seeing people pale, she could spot that something was wrong here. Feng Rao asked her brother Feng Xiao, Gidge, that Black Horn is really dangerous. A new thug. He's appeared in the land of God punishment around 100 years ago. He's the vice chief of the Black Curtain. Barrett calls him his brother. Before Barrett reached the original God realm, they always tied in their matches. Currently, in the land of God punishment, Black Horn holds the title of the strongest warrior under the original God realm. He can sweep away all the warriors at the same realm. He was at the peak of the King God realm. Feng Xiao explained with a heavy and bitter face. Feng Rao's face changed immediately. Chapter 827, Black Horn of the Demon Clan. Chapter 827, Black Horn of the Demon Clan. Hearing the name Black Horn, the crowd of the pirate leaders quieted down. They put on reluctant faces as if they were afraid of that person. Even bloody slaughterer Ka Tuor's heart was sinking. He slowly protruded from the crowd, and winked at Shi Yang, implying that he should be very careful. Listening to Feng Xiao's briefing, Feng Rao paled, worried about Shi Yang's chances. Anyway, Shi Yang and Barrett had declared a battle in front of everybody else. If she stopped them now, would it look like she looked down on Shi Yang? Be careful. I heard that Black Horn is really tough. Begrudgingly, Feng Rao could only walk to him and remind him. It's all right. Shi Yang was still calm. He answered without the anxiety people usually have before engaging in a great battle. Barrett, you think of him highly. Genome shook his head. You let Black Horn fight him. It not that different from fighting you, no? Harumph. Barrett grimaced, laughing coldly. I just don't want unexpected things to happen. Yeah, being careful is good. That kid isn't bad. I've seen. His space power isn't easy to deal with. Letting Black Horn fight him, you will prevent unnecessary mistakes, nodded Russell. In the land of God punishment, Foam Ku had the strongest force with his second sky of original God realm cultivation base. That was also why Russell, Jianong, and Barrett would team up to deal with Foam Ku when they faced him. While the three of them were discussed in a low tone, a freezing aura had shot over from a far distance. A hazy white light shone as a 3-meter-tall Herculean man appeared. He was a member of the Dragon Horn, a branch of the demon clan. His appearance was amazing with a savage curled dragon horn on his forehead. This man's skin was muscly dark like ink and iron. This man looked like he had infinite power. The beefy demon man wore only upper body armor, and the armor pieces on his shoulders had 2 curled, sharp spikes, which were around 1 meter long and looked extravagant. A cold aura diffused from his body. His eyes were icy clear. A cold mist twirled around his body, making him look like a thick ice block. People felt chilled standing close to him. They instinctively moved away. Ice-class power. The latecomers' power, Upanishad and Barrett's, were polar opposites of each other. They were surprisingly close friends. "Barrett, why did you summon me here?" The hunky man's voice was like thunder. "Can't you just decide the stuff about the new star area yourself? Why do you want me here? Haven't you done things like this enough?" "Black Horn, I asked you to come here to help me take back a woman." Barrett took a deep breath, then pointed at Shiyang. "Beat him and I can marry Feng Rao. Take good care of him." Black Horn was bewildered. He became foul-mouthed. "You bastard Barrett. Did you call me here for this? You really are too bored, aren't you?" While he was talking, Black Horn couldn't help but turn to Shiyang and thunder. "Kid, you should just die. Don't waste my time. You can't kill him." As Foam Ku saw that the battle will happen soon, he suddenly recalled something and shouted, "Only defeating. No killing. Black Horn, you should notice that. If you kill him, don't blame me for turning my back on you guys." It was obvious that he didn't favor Shiyang. Otherwise, he wouldn't have said so. Black Horn was really famous in the land of God punishment with the peak of King God realm cultivation base. At the same time, as he was from the demon clan, his god body was very imposing. His understanding of the ice power Upanishad was also profound. Before Barrett had broken through the original god realm, he couldn't gain the upper hand fighting Black Horn. People rumored that Black Horn had almost accomplished the complete essence of the ice power Upanishad. He was at the threshold of the original god realm already. Black Horn was a combative warrior. He often battled other people in the land of God punishment without a clear reason. In those recent years, famous warriors at the same realm with him had been beaten once. None of them was his rival. That was why Black Horn was titled the best hotshot under the original God realm. In this land of God punishment, he was infamous. His reputation was even better than Bloody Slaughterer Ka Tuor, and his competence and background force were also one level higher than Ka Tuor. Many onlookers cursed under their breaths when they saw Black Horn roar and attack. They had to back off instantly. When this brutal guy engaged in a battle, he wouldn't care about the onlookers. Once he started to take action, he would mind nothing. From time to time, the onlookers would get hurt by his mighty attacks. Black Horn's icy-clear eyes brightened. The freezing energy under his feet swept over everybody, dashing like a mad ice dragon underground, heading towards Shiyang. Crack, crack, crack. Big cracks appeared on the green ice block. Sharp icicles jutted from the ground. A thick ice layer appeared in the area between Shiyang and Black Horn. The entire area was frozen. That kid also cultivates ice power Upanishad just like Black Horn. Haha. This will be so interesting. Barrett called Black Horn here to teach Shiyang a lesson and to let him know about the real power and subtle features of ice power. Right. Barrett wants to use his favorite power Upanishad to defeat him. This will give that kid a nightmare and he will never increase his realm again. It is that malignant. It's obvious. That kid dares to snatch Barrett's belonging. He shouldn't think about having a decent ending. Leaders of the other forces backed off, discussing with each other excitedly. The hustle and bustle of this area never ceased. They watched and screamed in awe. From the 2 big legs like the ice columns of Black Horn, extremely cold energy continually seeped into the ground. The area between him and Shi Yang was frozen with a thick layer of ice around 100 meters. Sharp icicles jutted under his power before they were flung out violently. As the cold energy permeated the area, warriors with low cultivation base shuddered. They had to back off further, but their eyes still glued to the flying icicles. Several hundred icicles hissed like a sharp spear as if they could tear the whole sky, bombarding Shi Yang. Feng Ku had already taken Feng Xiao and Feng Rao away from this place. Now, they were standing on a high platform several hundred meters away to watch the battle. Their arena was the training court of the Blue Demon's warriors, which situated on an area of several thousand square meters. As soon as Black Horn urged his icy energy, the vast training court was frozen. It looked like a large frozen lake in the coldest area. Ice and snow covered every corner. When hundreds of sharp icicles arrived, Shi Yang's body echoed the sounds of cracking bones. His hunky god body withered eccentrically. He became bony shortly. At the same time, a ferocious force rocketed unceasingly in his body. A bloody murderous aura shot out from behind his head, swirling up to the sky just like the pair of the devil. His eyes became garnet as if they congested. With his indifferent countenance, he gave people an emotionlessly scary feeling. Third sky of rampage. OSHA *T. Tough. That evil energy was too strong. His powers increased several times in just a blink. Holy moly. That kid is intimidating. His powers increased in just a blink. What's going on? I don't get it. Everybody burst out screaming. That's how it was. Bloody Slaughterer Ka-Tuor took a deep breath to calm down. At the moment he saw Shi Yang's blood-red eyes, he knew that Shi Yang was serious this time. Swoosh swoosh swoosh. Several hundred icicles flung towards Shi Yang rapidly like the ghosts coming for souls. Their power was so fierce. Even if the warrior at the second sky of King God Realm used a god domain, it would be smashed instantly. Lock. Shi Yang's garnet eyes sparkled with blood-red light. His power shifted as he extended one arm, touching the void and shouting. Crack crack. Space had confined everything. The wind ceased. The energy was stagnant. The god domain beside him became oddly silent. Hundreds of spear-like sharp icicles halted in the air. The icicle closest to him was just 1 meter away from his glabella. Break. Shi Yang's god domain changed. The negative aura rolled up to the sky, turning into the blue ghost claws that slapped each pointy icicle. Boom. 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 Hundreds of icicles exploded in the air. Ice scattered everywhere. The immense mist wound around Shi Yang dreamily. People were surprised. The boisterous noise ceased. On the stone platform, Feng Ku, the leader of the Blue Demon, was astounded. He turned around immediately and looked at Feng Rao deep into her eyes. Little girl, it's been so many years, and your eyes are still sharp. You've never wronged anyone. Feng Xiao was also baffled, muttering. I finally believe what she told me. No wonder why he dared to leave with Ka-Tuor and Ka-Fu. Turns out his foundation is tough enough not to be afraid of others. Yeah, we're all wrong. This kid is a true character, I've told you. Even if I risk my life to fight him, the one who will get killed will be me, not him. Feng Rao was excited, but she pretended to be calm, talking faintly. That is how he is. Skipping level to fight is normal stuff to him. Feng Ku, Feng Xiao exchanged looked as they agreed inwardly. They were no longer suspicious. The icicles were broken, but Shi Yang didn't have a scratch on himself. His congested eyes turned into a bloodthirsty red color. He looked at Black Horn from a distance, not yet attacking. Black Horn was baffled for a while. He gazed at Shi Yang for a while. His nonchalant visage changed into a more serious one. He took a breath of cold air, talking solemnly. I've wronged you. You're a true rival. I'm going to make a deal with you with my best abilities. You've earned my respect. I will consider you a warrior with the same competence. Barrett, your rival isn't bad at all. He is as excellent as you were that year. Russell frowned, lowering his voice. Anyway, when you were in the second sky of King God Realm, you didn't have such mighty power, I suppose? Yes, he is absolutely a tough character. No wonder he was able to take the star map out of the purgatory star. He is not as simple at all. Jianong also appraised. Barrett grimaced and snorted but didn't answer. Heaven flame. Where was the heaven flame? Jester's eyes were burning as he was screaming inwardly. He was yearning to see the heaven flames, to seize the chance and assess it. You're tuning in to the Celestial War YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.